right, hello everybody. Welcome to our retrospective of Thor Ragnarok. This has been since we started this thing. This was another one of those movies where I'm like, I can't wait till Civil War, and oh man, then there's Thor Ragnarok. Because we had a list of ones that we couldn't wait to get to, and this was one of them for several reasons. Is we want to make sure it's still up to par of what we thought from the beginning. And I think we're going to have some twists and turns during this conversation. And I don't know about you, Sam, but like I said earlier in the show, I still do not have scores yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to be talking myself, or he's going to be helping me into it. We're just going to kind of ease each other into what we think is the best score that we both can come up with. Because there might be some things that you're going to say you don't like, and I'm going to say, yeah, but or vice versa, because I found some crazy stuff. I mean, and guys, I don't want to oversell myself. It's nothing too crazy I found, but I definitely have some fun things to talk about when it comes down to this movie. Things that you and I, even over the years we've talked about these, we haven't talked about yet.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what's going to make it kind of fun for us. There's some new conversations that's going to happen here today. So,
I am been so excited and nervous about this episode in particular, this retrospective. It's similar to you. I do have scores I initially wrote down, but I am subject to change with them because there are things I feel about this movie that I'm like, dare I put that? Dare I not? And I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to let it be as it's happening, and it'll be a final opinion at that point when it's done, like final answer. So I am very excited to dive into Thor Ragnarok. It's highly regarded in the fandom, and we're about to go through the history of this guy, and man, you're in for a treat. Yep. We are in for a treat just talking about it.
Yep.
All right, so did you want to start us off then for this, or do you want me to read the history and then you go into the synopsis and then we start breaking it down?
Yeah, let's do it that way. You go ahead with the history and the synopsis.
All right, guys, here we go. Thor Ragnarok, released on November 3rd, 2017. The main cast include Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hiddleston, Mark Ruffalo, Kate Blanchett. Just checking to make sure my microphone's still good, y'all. Carl Urban, Tessa Thompson, Sir Anthony Hopkins, and Jeff Goldblum. History behind the film. By the time Marvel Studios began developing Thor Ragnarok, the studio recognized that the Thor franchise needed a dramatic creative overhaul. Although the first two Thor films had been commercially successful, they were generally viewed as some of the MCU's less distinctive entities, particularly Thor: The Dark World. Meanwhile, the MCU was entering Phase 3 following the success of Captain America: Civil War, Doctor Strange, and Guardians of the Galaxy. With Marvel becoming more confident in taking creative risks, seeking a fresh direction, Marvel hired New Zealand filmmaker Taika Waititi, who had earned acclaim for offbeat comedies like What We Do in the Shadows and Hunt for Wilder People. Waititi pitched Thor as a funnier, more colorful, and more adventurous character, believing audiences had not yet seen Chris Hemsworth fully utilize his natural comedic talents. Marvel embraced this new vision, allowing Waititi to reinvent the tone of the franchise by drawing inspiration from 1980s science fiction films, Jack Kirby's bold comic artwork, and classic cosmic Marvel stories. Much of the dialogue was improvised, with Waititi encouraging the cast to experiment during filming, resulting in many of the movie's funniest moments, including Korg's memorable lines, which Waititi performed himself through motion capturing. Filming began in Australia during 2016, with large-scale production at Village Roadshow Studios on the Gold Coast. At the time, Chris Hemsworth had become one of Marvel's biggest stars, but had publicly admitted he felt Thor character had become somewhat repetitive after the two solo films and multiple Avengers appearances. The creative reset reinvigorated both Hemsworth and the franchise. Tom Hiddleston returned as Loki after becoming one of Marvel's most beloved characters, while Mark Ruffalo joined as Bruce Banner / the Hulk in his largest role since Avengers: Age of Ultron. Rather than producing another standalone Hulk movie, which Marvel Studios was unable to do thanks to Universal Pictures retaining the distribution rights to the solo Hulk films, Marvel creatively incorporated elements of the famous Planet Hulk comic storyline into Thor Ragnarok. The filmmakers realized they could adapt many of Planet Hulk's most popular ideas, including Sakaar, the Grand Master, and the Gladiator Arena, within the Thor movie while avoiding any legal complications to a standalone Hulk film. This decision also gave Bruce Banner meaningful character development after his disappearance at the end of Age of Ultron and added another fan favorite Avenger to Thor's story. The film's villains were also selected to support the franchise's reinvention. Sorry. Kate Blanchett joined at the MCU as Hela, the goddess of death, becoming Marvel's first major female villain. Hela was chosen because Marvel wanted a threat powerful enough to destroy Thor's identity, literally shattering Mjolnir and forcing him to discover that his strength came from within rather than from his hammer. Hela's conquest of Asgard also allowed Marvel to tell a story about confronting hidden history and the darker legacy of Odin's empire. Meanwhile, Jeff Goldblum was cast as the eccentric Grandmaster, whose improvisation performance fit perfectly within Waititi's comedic style and provide a colorful contrast to Hela's darker storyline. The film also introduced Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie, bringing another beloved comic character into the MCU while helping expand Asgardian mythology. Fun behind-the-scenes facts include Waititi encouraging extensive improvisation from nearly every actor, Chris Hemsworth cutting his iconic long hair to symbolize Thor's personal transformation, and the visual effects team drawing heavily from Jack Kirby's vibrant comic artwork to create Sakar's neon-inspired aesthetic. Even the famous "he's a friend from work" line during Thor's gladiator battle and with Hulk reportedly originated from a child visiting the set during a charity program. Which also, I will say to that, is in the comics to a degree, but the rephrasing came from that really cool kid that said that. So, when Thor Ragnarok was released in 2017, it revitalized both the Thor character and the franchise, and critics praised its humor, visuals, performances, and willingness to reinvent itself, earning approximately 93% on Rotten Tomatoes from critics and 87% from audiences. Financially, the film became Thor's biggest solo success to that point, grossing approximately $859 million worldwide against a production estimate budget of $180 million. More importantly, Ragnarok fundamentally changed the audience's perception of Thor, transforming him from a comparatively serious fantasy hero into one of the MCU's funniest, most charismatic, and emotionally compelling characters. The destruction of Asgard, Hulk's return, Loki's continued redemption arc, and the introduction of Valkyrie all positioned the franchise for the dramatic events of Avengers Infinity War, while Waititi's bold reinvention demonstrated Marvel Studios' growing willingness to radically evolve its characters instead of repeating familiar formulas.
Yeah, what a complicated production, though, still, right? Like, in its own way.
Yes, in its own way. How do we reinvent this character, keep him relevant, and gain him a larger audience? And we're about to discuss how that paid off now, guys.
Yes,
so
sure.
What's the official synopsis, Ike?
So, guys, imprisoned on the other side of the universe, the mighty Thor finds himself in a deadly gladiatorial contest that pits him against the Hulk, his former ally and fellow Avenger. Thor's quest for survival leads him in a race against time to prevent the all-powerful Hela from destroying his home world and the Asgard civilization.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right. We want to just dive into Act 1 and I read it?
Let's do it.
We go? Yep. Okay. All right, guys. Act 1. Thor returns to Asgard after many years and discovers... Oh, wait. Actually, there's one thing right before this. I completely jumped past the surprise opening. Okay. So, Act 1. I'll restart, guys. Thor finds himself captured in what appears to be a volcano lair owned by Surtur. Thor defeats Surtur and successfully makes his way back to Asgard after years, and to discover that his brother Loki has been posing as Odin. With the help of Doctor Strange, Thor and Loki find Odin, who remained in self-exile in Norway, but it was too late to save him from death. With Odin's death, the goddess of death herself, Hela, is unleashed, revealing herself as Thor's long-lost sister and the original heir to Asgard's throne. Hela quickly overpowers Thor and Loki and destroys Mjolnir, forcing them to flee via the Bifrost. Hela succeeds in arriving in Asgard while Loki and Thor are thrown across space and crash land on a junk planet called Sakaar.
All right.
Sorry for that mix up in the beginning. I just dived right into Thor getting to Asgard. I'm like, wait a minute. There's a whole scene that I'm sure when we talk about what worked, I'll let you start off with. We're going to talk about this. So.
All right. So what worked, huh? So yes, I think for both of us, it was a surprise when we got to the theater and it opens up with Thor and Surtur like having their conversation. And we're just like, what is going on? It seemed, because trailers make you feel like this, okay, so the big bad's Hela and Surtur, what's going on? We're thinking Surtur might be in team with Hela or whatever. What did we didn't know shit. So it was great. We watched it and I think it's brilliant. I love it. I think this is funny. I like that this opens up with Thor talking to us. Like, yeah, you're probably wondering what I'm doing here and blah, blah, blah. Immediately you realize, okay, we're getting a different kind of movie right here. We already know this is going to be different.
Yeah.
And we got to give it to Clancy Brown, who does the voice of Surtur, who's also Shawshank as a police officer. I think he does a great job in this as that voice. He adds some nuance to it that's good. And this whole scene is great. And I laugh a lot with the chain thing because he keeps going in a circle, because that's what happens when you do that stuff. That, and whoever thought we needed hammer vision. Like when he throws that hammer and you follow the hammer as it beats all these things up, I'm like, that is so cool.
Yep.
That is so cool. And I like the cinematography there is great. I like that he drops it in that demon dragon's mouth and it just pulls him to the ground.
Yep.
Using the hammer in that way have always been my favorite stuff. That worked a lot. I think that worked a lot. Do we want to just talk about this scene for a second, or can I just keep going until? Well, because I got a few other things until we get to. I can give you all of mine, and I'll let you go.
It's up to you. If we want to just talk about that scene, then as we go, we just talk about each part, because there is a lot in this film.
There's a lot. We're not gonna do every scene, but this beginning though, I think there's a lot worth talking about in this very beginning, at least for sure.
Yeah,
because later on there's stuff that's happening that we can kind of gloss over because it's okay. But this is where we realize, oh, there's a swing. Like this is we had to strap up. I had to set my drink down, put an extra seatbelt on. There's a lot of things going on that we weren't ready for, And so how do you feel about this opening? How did it hit you?
So for my retrospective, it reminded me exactly when we went to the theater and we saw this. We were like, "Whoa, we're starting off with Surtur." That blew my mind. And obviously, if you're just following the MCU up until this point, you get read from the very beginning the heavier comedic tone of Thor right on the top. But we're gonna get into how that kind of complements him for this film in particular.
Yeah, I have a take on that. We'll talk about later.
We'll talk about that later. But it's just him being captured and then just knowing he could get out at any moment anyways and do what he did with Surtur and all the fire demons there and all that stuff, and then that dragon thing. Like, this is one of the best openings Marvel has ever done.
I agree.
This is one of the biggest swings I think they ever did for such a predominant character like Surtur. And I was blown away. That scene I could watch by itself over and over again. It is so the Mew Mew vision.
Yeah, like Mew Mew vision.
Who knew that we needed that? Like you said. That is so cool. And he's already immensely powerful. We already know of Thor anyways, with the lightning shattering and all that stuff. And he's taking on these demons, and then how he like puts Surtur to the ground and extinguishes his flame. That is so cool. Then he just straps it on the back of his on his back, and he flying away from that dragon. That is so cool. And I love the comedic tone of him saying, "Oh, that's your helmet? I thought that was your face. That's your eyebrows?" Because it does look that way, but it's so cool. So that's all I'm going to say about that. That is one heck of an opening to start this movie off. You start off with basically Ragnarok basically about to happen, and then it's temporarily paused. It's so cool. Anyways, So go on to keep going.
So then I like this when we do get to Asgard
Mhm.
and this whole thing with the play. Like it's so meta. It's wild to me. It's like a real family. It's real crazy. A real family doing this thing, like having Chris's brother come in like that to play Thor himself. It is like a big meta speak on the fact that they're all making a movie, but they're making a fake play in the movie that's fake of what really happened. You know, it's kind of like a fake family inside a second fake family that the first fake family is trying to imitate. You know, it's like what is going on? And it actually kind of speaks to like an overall purpose of this film as you get through this movie. It's a lot about family in that sense.
Mhm.
Even though it's the opposite of what you'd think, because it's not so much family coming together as it is this is what it's like being torn apart, you
Yeah.
know? And I think that's what makes it interesting, you know.
Mhm.
And I do like that how he gets Loki to come out with the hammer. He holds his neck there. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You have to scare him out. I guess one thing you could say is wrong with this, but for me, I guess it's no big deal, and I'm zero gonna count this against it. Is everyone just kind of was like, "Oh, Loki, that's just what he does," as he's been pretending to be Odin. So no one seems real pissed about it.
Yeah.
That's a little weird, but at the same time, I don't care. You know, that's not something that bothers me at all,
Mhm.
and I'm not gonna let it deter my score. I'm just decided that. I had to make that decision because this might be the only negative thing you hear me say for a while, and, it's okay. You know, and, just to move on past that a little bit, this is how you need to use Doctor Strange from now on. We do not need any more boring ass Doctor Strange movies. We got one, it's boring. It was alright. We'll stick with it. You introduced him. You gave us some magic that we got to think about because you don't know how to tell us what's really going on. We got introduced to Time Stone, which is the best part of the movie. After that, you know, I just think Doctor Strange needs to just show up just because this is awesome Doctor Strange stuff.
Yeah.
Perfect. Just enough. All the tricks are funny. These are great moments that are funny. And
Mhm.
I like that Loki's falling the whole time for 30 minutes. There's so much to that I think is really cool. I like a lot.
Mhm.
But yeah, this is great example of this. Just do this with him for now on. But I don't need a Doctor Strange movie. He just needs to show
Mhm.
up and he can be in it.
Mhm.
You know, in fact, I hope they still make him bad in one movie like we talked about. But as far as I'm concerned, this is at its best.
Mhm.
And then, like, just to tie into that real fast, we'll get right to the scene too. I'll let you go. You can go back and talk about some of this. But this whole thing where Odin's on Norway and they go to see him. You know, actually, I'm gonna wait a second. There's something specific I want to talk about that. I don't want to go into that rant without you talking about those things too. So, how'd you feel about this build up to Odin, basically?
Up to Odin. So it it took me by surprise, but it was a pleasant surprise
Yeah.
of when Thor lands in Asgard, you immediately know because you pick up right from the end of the Dark World and be like, oh, Loki's there. What's it gonna look like? And it really doesn't look that much different, except that Odin is in like this bathrobe type thing, eating grapes with these women around him, and everyone is watching this play, and he's commenting like it's very funny, very cool, but it's
The statue of Loki.
the stat. Yeah, that's the tipping point where part of me was like, oh boy, I wonder what's going on. Is he enslaved Asgard too? He didn't. He's just like, I'm in charge now.
Mm.
It's almost like, what the heck did you do? You just didn't like your dad. Anyways, yeah, it was that the play was a nice touch.
Yeah.
The play worked well in this movie.
Mhm.
And I love that it's a play about Loki's death and exaggerating how important he is to them. And having the people be like, oh my gosh. It's
Yeah.
comedically, it hit.
Yeah.
But I agree with you that Thor immediately knew, oh, this is Loki's tricks. And he's pissed, but he's not, I'm just going to start pummeling you pissed.
Right.
He wants Loki to unveil his own disguise, and that with the hammer and the head thing, wow, that's
Yes.
bold. That is cool,
That's
and that's smart. I love that they did it. I agree with you. If I was there and I found out that Odin was Loki this whole time, I would have been like, I would have yelled out, "What the hell, man!" Yeah, and just someone in the back be like, "What?"
Yeah.
But nothing. But okay, whatever.
They're all just, well, okay.
They're all just like,
oh, you
"Aw."
Loki.
Yeah, oh, you Loki. Well, it does show how dysfunctional this first family of Asgard is.
Awful.
Just saying. They're probably like, this is not new. We're like, okay, whatever. Now Thor's gonna lay down the hammer, literally. But anyways, that was cool. I did like that part, and I liked that Thor's like, take me to our father, and they go, and it's a destroyed homeless shelter, or no, home, a destroyed home. He's like, I left him right here. And he's like, right here in this rubble, or right here on the street.
Duh,
Like,
yeah.
this also brings to a fun behind the scenes thing of this, that they refilmed Odin's entry into this. What you saw in the trailers, they had filmed, they did the visual effects, everything. Then they decided for some reason either that didn't work or they wanted to tell it differently. So they redid it with the Norway scene. It was cool, and I don't know. I haven't seen that full scene. I know it's out there, but I think it's on like some special feature of like $1,000 version of the MCU or something like that. Honestly,
Yeah.
but I am curious how that would have changed the dynamic of this. But I like that they did it this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, between those two scenes, I like they did it this way.
I think they realized having it in the city, like, because they could have easily went into the nursing home,
Mm.
talked to Thor, and talked to Odin. It all happened there.
Yep.
But I think the being in Norway added that emotional and Viking feeling to this that this movie needs.
It did, yeah, and even the music on the Norway scene.
Yeah, it was really.
It was
I think
very
he was like,
Viking
I want a
reference.
little more. I want more serious here, even though it's still got its moments. That I think the city part of it made it feel very out of touch.
Yeah.
I think they changed it.
Before we dive into that too much, because I just started realizing I'm talking about that, and I wanted to comment on the Doctor Strange thing too. I completely agree with you. This is a great example of this is Doctor Strange when he's at his best as in other people's movies. Yep. This is the first part of it, from his entrance of how he's flying down, and he's wearing the gloves. I don't see him really wear that much anymore. Like, that is classic Doctor Strange gloves. Like, give him the gloves.
Right.
But whatever. All the scenes of him teleporting to different parts of the library, and Thor's like this the whole time of his drink. It goes, it spills all over the place. Mm-hmm. That's hilarious. I love that Thor's beer fills up all the time.
Yeah.
And he's looking at it like,
yeah. When he calls the hammer, he's like busting through everything. He's like, sorry about that. Yeah. It's just so funny.
When Thor's like, you couldn't have told me about this, and then Thor, Thor says you could have sent an email, text message, and then Doctor Strange says, you have all those stuff? And he said, no, why would I have that? It's funny. It's really cool. So anyways, and that Thor would be one character that I don't think Doctor Strange could have easily just communicated with, because he's traveling all the 9 realms. He's doing all these different things. And yeah, he isn't a tech savvy guy. He's more of a brute force type guy. So, I think that is very complimentary to Doctor Strange and to Thor, that whole scene. So, and I love the Loki is falling and he says, oh yeah, take your brother. And then Loki says, I've been falling for 30 minutes. That's hilarious. And then he gets the knives out like, oh, I'm going to show you something. And you're like, all right, bye-bye. Perfect. All perfect. All right, now let's get to Odin. His death.
Yeah. I still don't quite understand why he's dying, other than I want to. That's fine. I think it makes sense, though. I like all this. I think it's great, and it's a great moment when he's talking to them and he kind of tells, "You're both my sons," and Loki's kind of like, oh boy, but it's like it gets touching, and it's the start of we start to see that Loki starts to come into this thing of, oh man, this is heavy. It's gonna be something he's gonna have to think about too. And I like that now we know here comes Hela, right? And he tells him, it's your sister, and this is the whole thing. I put her down there, and the only way she ever get out is if I'm gone. And the only thing I want to touch on here is, man, Odin is a bad dad. Like, I like him in the first 2 movies a lot, but then you sit back and you look, and he's quite an asshole. You know, like, he expects so much more out of Thor than he ever teaches him, really. And he steals Loki from people that he murdered, really, you know what I mean? And then raises him and promises him he's not going to get more than you are now. And then the other sibling, he turned into a war machine that kills everything. And then I'm going to put you somewhere forever until I'm dead.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, he's going to some reason, he agrees to his death thing. So when I do die, my other kids are going to have to deal with you.
Mhm.
It's like, what did you do to these people, man? Like, at some point, someone's got to sit back and be like, oh, and you're kind of a dick. Like,
Mhm.
you're kind of a dick, man. Like, that's not a good thing to do. Like, why didn't he just destroy her at the time? You know,
Mhm.
if she's that bad, he's that scared of her.
Mhm.
He left her. He basically is like, yeah, all those times I yell at you for doing something you shouldn't have done, and you're not thinking and using your head and thinking about the future and what's best for Asgard. I kind of put this hell demon away that's your sister that's ready to destroy everything and most powerful thing you're gonna.
Mhm.
So good luck. Bye.
And
And it's
I
like,
yeah.
what? Like,
I
it's like
think one of the things that this film definitely touches upon is you always hear Hela's point of view of my ambitions outgrew his and all this different stuff, and this is our real history and all that. You never have gotten the counter argument from because Odin's dead. You never got the counter argument of why I had a change of heart, why I put you away, why all this stuff. You start realizing some of it. Oh, you really are that bad, and he could not control you other than using all of his power to put you away. So you come to some conclusions in that sense, but for the most part, you are only left knowing exactly from Hela's point of view of what happened to her and what Asgard's history
yeah,
is.
and I think they did that on purpose. And I think the purpose of that is it's true. I think, and it's just it's very obvious that Odin wanted to conquer the nine realms to make them better. I think he's not lying about that. I just think he couldn't do it unless he created something that could get him there. And just unfortunately, when you did, it just was something that, oh shit, how do you put that back in the box? You know? Which
Yeah, you're
that's what it feels like, right? It feels
he
like
he uses his firstborn child to
that.
yes, and her ability to generate weapons as turning into then a literal weapon who is very powerful. And then he decides, okay, I'm done pillaging and doing all the stuff the Vikings do. And now I want to be a benevolent king, as she says her exact words in the movie. And he's like, let's forget about you, and I'm gonna say now my new firstborn is Thor. What the heck, man?
Yeah.
What? But it does speak to
Yeah.
it's I will say it's very comic accurate to Odin and it complements what he's like in Thor the Dark
Right.
World.
Yeah, I agree. And you know what?
Yeah.
For how I sounded about it, guys, you think it'd be, oh, see, he's finding problems with the movie. It doesn't make
It's
it a
no,
problem.
it's not a problem.
I
It's
actually
part of the
like
story.
this. I
Yeah.
actually am like, this is kind of cool.
Yep.
Because it complicates these
Yes.
situations. And I think that's what makes it work the best.
Yep.
And now Hela's such a believable character because of this, actually.
Yeah.
She's not just a mustache. She's just pure evil.
Yeah.
And we don't have to, that's okay, cool. That's all she wants.
Hmm.
We don't need any other kind of, she's mad. We thought Loki fell out of place. She's like, yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
He locked me away, for a long time.
Yeah.
And and so when she grabs the hammer and crushes it,
Mm-hmm.
we're showing she's super powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, that's not good. It also shows, and I'm gonna skip ahead just for a second because of this hammer grabbing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because partly when I was
Yeah.
watching the movie for the first time, I'm like, wait a minute, she can do stuff with the hammer. I'm like, what happened to this whole thing? And then later it shows that she actually wielded the hammer in the images that she shows when she breaks the ceilings. It's her, she's got the hammer.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what? I didn't catch that Easter egg.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Several of them had with her with the hammer. And then I'm sitting there thinking to myself, this isn't a fault of the movie because I have at this point in time in the MCU accepted the fact that they don't even know. But this has reinforced my complaint from the very beginning about the hammer. Is what the hell does it mean to be worthy of that hammer? Because how is she worthy of the hammer? You're telling me that
Is
this
it
hammer was used as a weapon to murder people for a long time
well?
in the hands of someone that was doing something that awful? And then here we are, we go to this first movie and Thor can't lift his hammer because he needs to learn to be humble or whatever the reason. But
I
Hela
I
can
think
use this
it's
hammer? I
yeah.
chalk it up to the power of her, but that's usually never what it means with
I thought it was the pure intentions of someone. Like if you're
good or
if
bad.
you're if you're purely good,
They've never said
if
it
you're
the other way.
purely evil,
They've never said it the other way, though.
Mm.
There's no example other than Hela that a purely evil person could wield it. Just like
Mhm.
we've never even seen Thanos hold the hammer.
I feel
He's knocked it away.
yeah.
He's never picked the hammer up.
Yeah.
And they've never told us that nobody can pick up Stormbreaker. Stormbreaker's different.
Yeah, because
That's a made weapon. It's different.
Hmm.
The hammer, literally, this whole idea of holding that hammer, I always thought they held it up to this idea that the pure intent of being good and, like, the true meaning of being a hero or
Mhm.
doing what you're supposed to do, even if it's a struggle, and that it shows that Thor's incorruptible. That no matter what we're gonna get, Thor's never gonna be someone that does anything pure out of any bad intent.
Mhm.
And it shows the pure of heart of him, which is why Steve is able to lift the hammer. To me, that makes sense. And
Mhm.
that's why nobody else could. They're all good guys. Even the Avengers can't lift it, and they're all good guys, but there's something a little dark about each one of them that has a thing going on that the
Mhm.
hammer recognizes. And it's almost like, look, you can use the hammer, but if I let you use me, you might use it for bad things. It's kind of what I feel about it. You know what I mean? At least from what they make it. Because if that's the case, why couldn't Ultron pick it up? But I guess technically he can because Ultron did, because Vision picked it up. Although he doesn't have a heart. So you see what I mean? Like this whole being worthy of the hammer thing, I have surrendered to the idea it means zero, nothing to anything. It really does, which sucks for the whole MCU because Cap getting the hammer is one of the coolest things we ever saw.
Mhm.
And it's only because we know that it's only because you're that good of a guy and that good of a hero
Mhm.
and that uncorruptible.
Yeah. I never liked the Vision picked up the hammer.
We talked about that when we
Yep.
did that. We
That
did.
was my one of my
And part
biggest
of it is
complaints with
because
that
we don't
movie.
get what this means.
Yep.
So now when we see Hela with it, now it makes it even more convoluted. Like, so you're probably right. Her intent is so pure, good or bad, that there's no compromise to it.
Mhm.
But it just means why couldn't some of these other bad guys use it then if they wanted to?
Mhm.
You know, or maybe they didn't know they could, maybe
They're
they
not
couldn't, they
bad
didn't
enough.
know.
I don't
You know,
know.
or but at the same
Yeah.
time, because I would argue that Thanos' intent was just as deep.
Mhm.
You know, he was committed to what he was doing just as much as she was. You
Mhm.
know, to the point where he realized he needed to up it and not just get rid of half and get rid of all. He was that content.
Mhm.
Good or bad, right? So I don't think it has anything to do with being good or bad. I just don't think they know. I just think they thought it would be cool, and they needed a reason why she could hold it and
Yeah.
destroy it. And frankly, that bugs me a little.
Mhm.
Bugs me a little. But
I
I'm
hear
not
you.
gonna take it away from the movie because, like I said, I don't want that to be the reason this doesn't get what it deserves, what they did with it.
Yeah.
And why I say that is because if this was the only movie to do this and contradict it, I'd give it a hard time. But they've already screwed the hammer up before now.
Yeah, multiple
So at
iterations, yeah.
this point, honestly, the argument is already been done, and it's already been, like, clearly it means nothing,
Mhm.
so why am I upset about it?
Mhm.
I'm just gonna as we go through the MCU, I'm just gonna make it a point to point it out to you guys every time they screw it up, or every time it makes no sense, and this might I don't think there's many more times after this, to be honest, but this made me even more so realize, oh, you know, being worthy of the hammer just is it's nonsense, there's nonsense here, you know, and it's kind of
So, because technically okay.
because I'd argue
I forgot that there's the imagery of her holding that hammer. If that wasn't there, I could just chalk it up to she just had the power because of her power of weapons to stop the hammer and shatter it.
100%.
Because at that moment she didn't decide to stop it, grab it, and swing it at him. It was just destroy it. Um,
I
a
couldn't agree more.
cool demonstration of her power too,
Yep.
for the first moment of meeting her. But it's that imagery afterwards that maybe as we're doing this and that scene pops up behind us and everything, guys, we'll be like, oh yeah, that is the hammer.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, because even they even do well explaining why Jane has it, because Thor asks it to, you know?
mm-hmm,
And it's kinda like, in a way,
yep,
it's gonna do I mean, you start to realize what Taika does with it that is I think is more fun than most people say, is it is kind of its own entity too as well,
yeah,
which I think it's a nice little touch, which makes me think even more so that it makes no sense. It would allow her to do the atrocities she did. Other than I guess
yeah,
the only big argument you could put to it is that was their way then. So maybe once Odin changed everything and got rid of her, the hammer had to change.
yep,
So I guess if anything, that could explain it, and I'm just pooping out stuff. But
yep.
they
But
kind of
that's the thing; they don't
they
say
should
that.
have said it because for us that think the hammer is a big deal,
Yep,
that'd be a big deal.
That goes back to my point
When is it
before,
not,
is we
right?
only see all this from Hela's point of view, that whether we like Odin or not, we don't ever get that chance of hearing a defense.
Yeah.
No one there saying, oh, I was there when Odin was doing these things, and he's not how Hela described him,
Yeah.
or anything like that, there is no rebuttal.
Right.
So you're just left with, this is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to skip over it, though. I'm going to pretend it's not a big deal because, frankly, they already screwed it up. When Vision picked it up, made me go, oh, what the hell does this mean? And that's all. And I know you guys, some people might think that's inconsequential. Think about it. How awesome is it when Cat picks up that hammer? Think about why it's awesome. It's because only the worthy can. So if only Thor picks it up and then only Cat picks it up, it's like, oh my God, what's that mean, right? So there is consequentialness to this, but, well,
Yeah.
I will back off of it until the next time I see a hammer discrepancy. What it does is it hurts the first movie. Is what it does. Though unfortunately, is it makes that whole he's not worthy to pick it up thing. What's this mean, right? And that's what bothers me about it. And if you're going to argue that, well, see, Odin did that thing where he said, whoever is worthy can hold the hammer, blah, 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 and he throws it down and there. It's like, yeah, but then who's to say Odin should say that? He's treating his kids like dog shit. Odin shouldn't even be worthy of holding the damn thing at this point.
Yeah.
But that's beside the point. Maybe it's not so much who should be able to have the hammer, is explain to us what being worthy actually means.
Yep.
That's what we need. Because you could be right. Worthy could mean pure of intent. Which means Hela could do it then. Because she is just pure bad.
But
nothing.
In doing that, though, it does contradict why Vision held it, because he even said in one of his first ever words he ever had was, oh, I'm not against Ultron, but I'm also not for him too. And I'm like, where's your intent there then?
Exactly.
You're either like, no, this guy sucks, I'm sad I have his brainwaves in me, or no, I completely agree with him. So those two reasons would have been, it's not because he was born yesterday as the joke they made in there. Be like, no, Vision was not worthy.
Yeah.
From my understanding,
for that, just because they needed a way to make them trust him.
They needed a wow factor.
Yep.
They needed something for the audience to be like, oh, I never thought that was possible. And
it just hurts
it hurts the hammer. Yeah, it hurts the hammer.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So
I guess, but I don't want that to be another reason.
But I agree that is not, if there are problems with this movie, the hammer debacle has been settled long before this movie.
Yeah.
They don't know what to do with it. So at this point, you just brush over it because it just is what it is.
But like I said, I just like pointing it out because it does. It still does, though, hurt that first movie. That first story. It makes you wonder, wait a minute, the whole point of that movie is he can't use it because he's not worthy.
Yeah.
That's the whole story arc of that movie. And now we're kind of like, but what's it mean to be worthy?
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So would you include that as just what didn't work for you type thing, as the hammer?
I did put it under that because it's the thing I'm going to gripe about.
Yeah.
This is where I struggle with the overall number or the score of this entire movie, because I don't want that to be the reason I don't give it what it deserves. Seeing that, and that's why it's like I'm saying now, like you just said too, because it is something that's already been a problem and that we're just excusing it anyway because they don't know what to do with the hammer. Technically, they didn't do anything wrong.
Exactly.
They weren't told the hammer means this, and then they did that.
Well, they weren't.
They just aren't told about anything. Just do whatever you want with it because it doesn't matter.
They weren't told what you've been saying all along is, hey, there's some inconsistencies with the hammer. Because I feel like if Taika Waititi knew that there was this growing concern of fans that said that, it'd be just like what the James Gunn would do or the Russo brothers would do. He would have added something in to be like, oh, this is what it means to be worthy of this hammer.
And to be honest with you, the one thing that does, and to counterattack my own argument, just to be clear, I want to do that to myself because I did think of it, is at the time she had the hammer, that was their intent to be the way they were. So the hammer could have been made, put in her hand for those reasons, and the switch over from being that we're Vikings taking over 9 realms to we're being good and treating everybody well could be when the hammer means something different now. So that is where I excuse it, because there is a way out of this in this movie particularly. Not so much the other movies, but in this one. So it's not a problem, but it does raise that, wow, hell, I had the hammer. That's wild, and because it makes you think, what's it mean to be worthy? And maybe, I guess back then she was doing what he said, kill everybody, do the thing. This is Asgard's wish. That's an Asgardian weapon. technically,
Yep.
I guess she would have been worthy of it then,
Yeah.
because she's great at it.
Yep.
So, yeah, so, I mean, it's in the middle. It's like, it doesn't work because it bugs me because I like the hammer thing so much.
Mhm.
But it's technically, in this movie, it still works. It's
Yeah.
alright.
No, I'm for what didn't work for me, I'm gonna piggyback off of what you said about that for the inconsistencies of the hammer. The thing that I would say that didn't work for me, I'm not gonna touch upon too much right now because it is something I want to say when we get to like our final reviews of the whole movie at large. But a lot of what, and I can't say it didn't work for me, it just felt, how do I say this properly, guys? Because I don't want to say it and you be like, "What are you talking about?" Be like, "You'll
I
hear
have a
it
few
when I
things like
say it."
that too. I'm gonna say I'm worried
Yeah,
that I'm gonna get laughed at, but
yeah. Well,
that's okay because it's maybe a need to be.
I think this. Do I say it now?
What part is
Actually,
it?
I will say because I feel like it's the only parts I would have an issue with this movie. So you're gonna know what my Act 2 and Act 3 feels are basically already is in the first act. I feel, for me as a personal taste, it was structured wrong.
Hmm.
Now, and this is also the very last thing of our questionnaire is picture version of it, and this is basically that in that. So I'm just going to say it right off the bat.
Wow.
I would not have done some of these scenes the way they did.
Mm.
That doesn't mean they're bad. I actually would say they're great scenes for what they did. They are great scenes, so that doesn't take away my score from the movie at all. But it's the only thing that I would say. I would have done this part different. I would have done that part different. I would have done this different, but it still would have had going into Act 2 and Act 3 the same results. So it doesn't change the whole
Interesting.
movie.
Yeah.
I had this feeling after I watched the Thor 3 for the first time back in 2017. And I wondered if I would feel the same way now because in the retrospective review, sometimes you forgive things. Look at my views of Ultron. I completely changed them a little bit. And part of me is like, now why'd you do that, Sam? But maybe I just surrendered to the fact of this is how they were going to do them. And there you go.
Well, we couldn't deny what we're watching,
Exactly.
and that's just it.
Yeah.
If
Well,
that's how it makes you feel, then you got to
yeah.
go with it.
So for this movie, I still would have done the first act different. I would have done, you're going to get a scene in Act 2 of Valkyrie remembering going against Hela and all of the other Valkyrie die. And then she somehow escapes. That would have been part of the first act for me. Not that Valkyrie character in particular, Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie, but I would have had it where he returns to Asgard with Surtur's head or crown. And that's when they will go from there. Yeah, and include the Norway scene or include, where he was. I don't have a problem with it being in Norway. I actually think I like that. It's complementary to Viking history and mythology and everything. So I would have done that. But I would have done, instead of him floating away in dust right there, I would have had Thor say, "We need to get you back," thinking he needs the Odin sleep like you saw in the first Thor movie because he's been gone so long he doesn't have the strength. And Odin is saying, "I know I'm dying. These are some of the things I need to tell you guys that I thought I would have had more time to tell you." And that's when he reveals there's Hela. I had the whole past. He then gives a moment to explain how Asgard really became as powerful as it is. And we're just hearing it. And then Hela doing the thing where she's about to do right now on our screen right now gives you the picture visualization of it, where it validates what Odin is saying and Odin admitting I was a bad guy and I made horrible decisions in life. I tried to make up for it, but the one thing I could not I could not remedy was your sister.
Okay.
And being a benevolent king, I didn't want to just kill my firstborn. So I decided to imprison her with all the strength of both your mother's magic and my magic. And now with your mother gone and I am about to meet her now because she's calling out to me, you are now going to meet your sister in a way I did not want you to.
Mm.
I would have done that a little bit more of an emotional depth for that, where and in the midst of all that, then he does die, and he dies like a normal Viking. As yep, there she is holding the hammer. You're right. I can't believe I missed that. But anyways, sorry, little tangent there. But I would have done it like that, where he dies on Asgard, and then Hela arrives either in Asgard or no. I wouldn't have Hela arrives in Asgard. I would have had it where they find out there's like an alarm going off of some kind because she is now broken free because he's died. And they send the Valkyrie there to keep her at bay, and she slaughters them all right there. That would have been the biggest opening scene for me, is she kills them all. And then she goes up in the Bifrost. Maybe they were trying to save a Valkyrie or something, whatever. She gets caught into it, and she gets to Asgard that way. And Thor and Loki go to get her first thing before the army gets there, and she throws them away. Then I would have continued on with how we saw it, with her giving her speech in front of Asgard, all that stuff. That's the only major change I would have done in this movie. They would have given one epic Asgard battle scene, start off with her power. Maybe still show her crack the hammer, because I think that's a big part of Thor's character development. But it's just to reaffirm and reestablish how powerful and dangerous this person is.
So, folks, this is the first time on our podcast that Sammy and I are going to completely disagree.
Oh, boy.
I'm not saying what you said wouldn't be good.
Yeah,
I think
that's okay.
I think you have great stuff there. I think you'd undermine the entire movie, though.
How so?
So a lot of it's got to do with, like, we'll talk about all these other things too as we go through this. But I think that this is two different movies. Okay, this movie, and this is what's best about this movie, is it's two different movies.
Okay.
I think you got a cookie cutter movie in the Hela storyline. And I think you got an unexpected, unpredictable, wild ride in the Sakaar stuff when it comes down to that little group being put together. And the overall arc of the stories of each character about this overcoming, becoming somebody who they are, overcoming something now they're missing, now they're lost, they're literally garbage on a garbage planet, which is how Hulk feels, how Valkyrie feels. I think if we know from the start that she's that and is carrying that weight, she becomes a mute character later as we go, because we need to see her step up and become a Valkyrie again. And I think it works when we don't have that knowledge until we actually have that knowledge. And I don't think you got enough good material in this movie for the Hela storyline to not do the stuff, not reveal those things that you would put in the beginning, and actually let it be stuff that happens in the middle.
Well,
because her storyline in this, if you just made that movie and we don't got Sakaar and all that stuff, this movie isn't good.
Well, I would have kept Sakaar. Act 2 onward is all Sakaar.
There is Sakaar. I'm saying, if you got, what stuff are you going to put in there to make the rest of the Hela story good? Because a lot of those things you said happen later. That does happen. She does reveal things. She does, but it happens differently than you put.
Yeah.
But because it's later, that's the filler that we like enough to want to see. Because frankly, the Hela storyline, if you looked at just that side of this movie, it's pretty freaking predictable and boring. She shows up, kills everybody, throws Thor and Loki out, takes over, tells the true story. They show up, they beat her, Surtur destroys it. That's it. That's it. It's predictable as all hell, really. Maybe not the end when it comes down to Surtur, that is like a twist, but that's also because these two worlds now meet. Because the part of the story that is unpredictable, that makes that one stay fresh and we're not stuck in it, that's the only thing going on, is we go to this wild, crazy place, which you still keep in it, and it does still keep that. But in your version now, when you go back to Hela, what are you putting in its place? Because now you've already shown these things. The whole scene of her waking you can do the waking the army up, I guess. But that is you're talking about rearranging minutes that I really think you're messing with a pace that this finds, that you might lose the message of what's going on. And I do think it would mute the Valkyrie character. I think we would still see the same progression of her, but I think you would automatically be like, oh, that's where it's going to go. We needed to see that play out as Thor learned it. And if we learn it from the start, I don't know. And it works better that she's there that long too.
Yes,
because she's no longer one of them.
She's not in my opening scene. Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie wouldn't have been in my opening scene, but the Valkyrie themselves would have still been there. Instead of
left out that she survived. So okay,
yes. Instead of Thor saying they were legendary, I don't know why we didn't have them anymore. Kind of like how he alluded to when he found out she was a Valkyrie. It would have been like, you're one of them. Your people just died.
Oh, it's a hard sell. I don't know, man. I think the pacing of this,
Because I think that's one of the
The
problems.
fact that we don't get Odin explaining it back as we learn as an audience is actually what puts that heavy weight on what it means to be an Asgardian.
Mhm.
I really do think that helps that we don't hear that side of it.
Because I think with Valkyrie just being out there, it causes because her whole shtick, Valkyrie, Tessa Thompson's, I know we're having gone into Act 2. We're basically
We'll
just
get there,
about to.
yeah.
But her whole shtick is that's one of the reasons why she left, is because how the royal family was, how Odin was, and her flashbacks are of Hela.
Oh yeah, she's
So
living with the fact that everybody around her died from this.
you already have characters that existing in this world that knew about Hela other than Odin. It's not like when Odin imprisoned Hela, he was literally the only one to remember.
Oh yeah, I know.
And so it does surprise me that's the only loophole in the whole story, that they've never even heard of Hela as a mythical character at all, let alone she's your sister. That's the part where it's like, how do you throw that in there? It's so.
See, that's the layer of Odin that I like in this, though.
I agree. I like it for
The
Odin,
fact that he
but
hid it from everybody.
yeah. But she obviously knew, and she's just not on Asgard to tell him this is what's going on. So I guess it does play into that character trope of the royal family kids don't know what the real world is like for their history and all that stuff. I don't know, but
Well, it plays into real world stuff. If you look at our own history as human beings, it's civilizations and things that's happened. They've changed how what they teach you. You know what I mean? But there's still people that have known. There's still the outskirts, but it's become now. Oh, it's what? It's not till it's there. Truthfully, if you had told Thor and Loki all this, it's easy as that's a story people have told for a long time. And that's easy, right? I mean, like easy peasy. If you put it to something that we're doing now today, if I told you Hitler didn't die and he went to Argentina, people say conspiracy theorist. Yeah, but the truth is, we spent millions of dollars looking for him in Argentina after World War II. So, like, people knew that, but you go to school, what do they tell you in school? They died in World War II.
Yeah.
So it's like, wait a minute, we're not being told the truth. But there's people you could never convince that that's what happened. You will never. You can show them all the evidence that he could have got to Argentina, and they will say, no, they wouldn't lie to us in school. That's what we're seeing here with that too. And I think keeping that mystery of it was important because it makes Thor have to choose who he's going to be. And it's not as easy to just be like, "Oh, my dad got screwed," or "He's so bad." It's that gray area that has been the problem for Thor, which is where he is still wandering at this time, where we are right now with him. And I think that has to be kept important. Although, here's what I'll say. An awesome epic battle scene with the Valkyrie and Hela would be sweet to see. I just don't know if it would help the pacing of this movie. The fact that it is kind of glossed over, where she's telling it from her point of view, kind of works more so for me than actually seeing the battle. I think we had this talk before. I think we both looked at each other and said, "Man, it would have been kind of cool if we saw that whole battle scene." So I guess it would fit if it was in a flashback, but I don't think it would fit if it was happening as it happened. Because I also think it's important that she goes to Sakaar and is there for a long time. That she's rooted in this place. Because her character, we need to see a leap from someone that's really at zero and come up. Because she does, at some point, she just doesn't care in this. To the point where we meet her, she's drunk. Like, she's just doing this because she can. And she's always on he's got a staff that can melt you in a second. So, like, I mean, and she's somewhat afraid of what they can do to her.
yeah.
So if the event of the Valkyries happens in the beginning of this movie, then she hasn't had long enough to be into where she is yet. She's going to feel like them. She might be mad at the royal family, like you say, and all that, but she's not going to be this thing, whatever. You guys screwed up along. You don't even know. You think you know your dad? I've known what really happened, and that's why I'm not helping you. I'm gonna sit up here and drink my beer and watch you ask.
I think that still would have been part of it, because
it just doesn't seem like long enough.
Because separating, if Tessa Thompson Valkyrie is not part of the Valkyries that go when Hela gets broken out of prison, but she was part of them during that whole time initially. and then that's why she left. She had enough of the royal family.
Yeah.
Then you're seeing the whole rest of the army. Some she may knew, some she may not knew. Who knows? Asgardians live a long time, but she already has disconnected herself. You get the same drunk Valkyrie that's a scavenger hunter on Sakaar like you normally do. It's just that you've also now seen what her people were like and you get a glimpse of what she once was like, but based off of her fellow sisters, that seeing her now and him trying to convince her to come back when she already doesn't, her exact storyline is exactly the same. I would have kept.
She's not
It's
part
just
of the Valkyries in this. Isn't she just a survivor of this?
From that flashback, she was a Valkyrie. That's why she has the tattoo of them and everything. She left them because of Hela, from a long time ago, Hela.
Before the Valkyrie died.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now Thor can probably get a little bit more sense of all the Valkyrie now in modern day are completely gone. Not because they were gone a long time ago as an army they didn't need. Obviously, Asgard has armies, but it's funny that they don't have their Valkyrie anymore.
Right.
But I don't know if they're linking it in this movie that they don't have the Valkyrie because of Hela a long time ago, or I would have made it where you still had the Valkyrie, and this is how they all died.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, there's one still out there that he has to now convince to come back with them to save Asgard.
So she left before the Valkyrie died, mad because Hela exists.
Yes,
is what you're saying.
Mad because of the royal family, the dynamics, and they felt like she felt like they were doing Odin's bidding the whole time, including Hela turning on them.
What you are though changing is fundamentally why she feels the guilt she feels, and I think that does change her character too much. Because she hates Odin in the whole situation because the Valkyries die. It's not because of what they were doing. I really do feel that at the time you don't know different. If you're Allfather, the one you worship, all you know, and that's what you're doing, then the outlier would just be her and saying, "Oh look, no, this isn't right." I don't think they had that problem. I don't. At least I don't think a Valkyrie would be one of them. I think out of all the things in Asgard, it'd be someone that just lives there saying, "Why are we doing this?" But the Valkyrie is they're committed. It's like their job really in the long run. Doesn't matter what these other one else does. Their job is to do what they did, which is show up for this battle. I will have to say, you almost got me sold because it would be good. It would be a great scene to see that battle. But I think she's dealing with survivor's guilt in this. And I think doing that doesn't make it survivor's guilt. Like, she's not only got to get over being mad at Odin and them, because technically she doesn't have to, even in this movie. She could still feel the exact same way about how she feels about it. It's her idea of being a Valkyrie she's afraid of because of what happened. Because she feels like maybe she could have made a difference, or maybe it could have been different for her if she was there. Or there's a lot of scenarios that's going through her head. It's because for survivor's guilt, it's like, why me type of thing. And that's why she's a drunk. And that's why this is all I'm good for, because all that means nothing. And now that he's done doing what he did and they died for nothing, screw Asgard, I'm out of here. And I'm going to stay here. I'm not going back. I think the Valkyrie, for her character, it needs to be a dead thing, not.
But for ending the Valkyrie as a force, it's one thing if Hela destroyed the whole army back then and they just got more soldiers type thing. But they decide not to even have the Valkyrie anymore.
I think it's a bold choice, but I do think it's a good one. Because they changed Ragnarok too. The events of Ragnarok are different as well. And I have no problem with that either. Technically, having Surtur come back should have brought Valhalla right there.
Well, the only problem I would say from my point of view of doing my version of it would have been that why haven't we seen the Valkyrie since then? So that makes a loophole for my whole shtick too at the same time, because
maybe it's because they're not needed. Because I think I think what they're doing with this movie in particular is it's a reboot, right? This is their biggest, and this is part of like the big swing I'm going to talk about in a little while, which we'll still get there because we got a lot of good stuff to talk about, guys.
Yeah.
But this is a reboot. This is the most daring thing someone's ever done in the MCU. And this is where it stuck with me because I've thought about some of these same thoughts you have about, man, but that does get rid of the Valkyrie. That kind of is weird because it's always a thing. But once again, it's like if you don't know it's not there, if you've never needed the Valkyrie again since then it's a secret you're keeping. And we're finding out as we go through these movies. Owen's been real good about keeping some weird secrets because Malkeith was even a thing of his that he just didn't want nobody to know.
Yeah.
And that was even an argument you kind of had that nobody talked about these things floating around out there. Well, because for Odin, it's like, we're not
Mhm.
talking about our mistakes. You know what I mean? And this is
Yeah.
the same thing. This is why he imprisoned her and said nothing about her. And the Valkyries, oh,
Mhm.
yeah, don't worry. The Valkyries there. They'll come when they need to. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of what he kind of go, oh, shit. So we don't
Mhm.
need him. And in Odin's mind, he's too full of himself. He thinks we're not going to need him
Mhm.
until he goes to die. He literally leaves a mess for his children
Mhm.
that he kind of apologizes to him before he leaves.
Yeah.
And in the
But
long run, you're kind of like, thanks a lot, dick. You know what I mean? Like, and it's
yeah.
like, and that's kind of what happens here. That's why my best emotional scene isn't his death.
Mhm.
Because to me, it's like, whoa, he just put in events that when you watch the rest of this movie, there's no winning. It's only survival.
Yeah.
This entire movie, nobody wins anything. They just live it
Mhm. Thanks,
through it.
Dad.
Yeah, thanks, Dad. And some of it is because of what's happened. And I
Mhm.
think that that's where her character fits in the most. So I think that that's why as awesome as if it's a flashback scene, if we're showing her walking through the halls, and she's, by the way, this is what I did, and we went into this awesome scene, I'd be great with that. But for the beginning part of the movie, to see that right off the bat, no, I think she shows her power by freaking killing everybody we know
Mhm.
and the armies. I mean, she does. She walks through this place like it's no one's business.
Mhm.
There's no beating her. Thor can't beat her. Nobody can beat her.
Mhm.
There's only one thing that can beat her,
Yeah.
and that's the end of the thing, which is the Ragnarok.
Mhm.
And because nobody can beat him when he's that. When you put him in the eternal flame, that's the end of their world.
Mhm.
It's prophesized,
Mhm.
which complements to what Thor's been afraid of this whole time.
Mhm.
But either way, that's stuff we 100% agree on. But with her, I don't know. I'm not saying it would because we don't get that version of the movie. I'm just like, as good as the stuff you're saying would be, and I would like to see that movie. I think you'd struggle with the pacing of the film, and B, you would definitely tie your one hand behind your back when you're telling the story of Hela in this, because what complements the movie to me is that it is a cookie cutter villain movie with something in it that makes that worth it. That you don't think of those, because if it was just a movie about them out doing some journey that didn't have all the cosmic crazy shit that we get, and it was them with Hela, it's a boring ass movie. And your version still puts all the cosmic stuff in it, you're right. But what you're doing though is you're taking stuff that you could use to put in there with her and putting a lot in the beginning. So now you got to get more creative there too. Because it is time where it's like, oh, so what's going on in Asgard? Let's go back and she'll tell you a story. Okay, then we go back to Sakaar. Then what's going on in Asgard? We go back and she's building an army. It's like it's great. And then you need those things. You don't want to do them too soon because you need them for later because you can't really do anything with her storyline. It's pretty cut and dry. She shows up, she takes over, and she needs to be beat.
Mhm.
And we got people hiding. Really, that's a shit movie. The one side of this movie is that's a terrible movie. In the law, it'd be a normal cookie cutter MCU bullshit movie. But because of the mix, it's not. And I mean, but like I said, I just think you're limiting yourself on what you're able to do with her when we do go to her. You want to keep it interesting enough to feel like it's at least par enough where you don't feel like, because not once in this movie, I'm like, okay, I can't wait to get back to Cigar. Like when I see her scenes and what's going on, I'm engaged.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, cool, cool. I think if you've shown too much in the beginning, um, we wouldn't be as engaged later. It'd just be a villain sitting there talking shit.
Hmm.
Personally, I don't know. Maybe you can still convince me as we go along. Your version's not bad though. I don't want you to think I'm telling you it's
Mhm.
awful because it's good.
Mhm.
I just think that the nuance of it though, I do believe that is there, and maybe mainly for the sake of Valkyrie. I really think that her character feeling like, yeah, you're right. She's been there a long time. But I think the trauma, though, of the death of the other Valkyries is what we need to believe that and see that play out over that long period of time.
Hmm.
Because she's pretty much ready to I don't even care if they kill me at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And for someone that just hates where she's from, I feel like she'd have found a niche somewhere else. But she's prohibited from finding that niche because she's also a sole survivor of an event that she's really pissed off about and that she actually kind of feels responsible for. And I think that that's very important to her character. Because Thor feels responsible for all the stuff he's doing, just like Loki's going to feel responsible when he has a conversation with him in the elevator, and just like Hulk is going to, or Banner and them are going to kind of feel responsible in its own way, and that's why there's not much character development with Banner and all that, but there's some. He's got to take responsibility for leaving and all that, and he does in this. I think that that's a theme that you need. That I think that trauma needs to be there, but
Okay,
that's all I got so far. Ooh,
yeah,
we're gonna be going back and forth, guys.
well,
This is gonna be fun.
yeah.
I like I said, I don't want you to be offended because
I'm not offended. No, it's just
I'm gonna give it to you though, and I'm gonna give it to you. I do think that man, it might be missing something though if we went that far with it. I kind of like Odin doesn't get back to Asgard. I like that it's there. I don't know. There's a mix of some of the stuff you said. I kind of would like that would work real well. But I do think I think she needs to experience the death of the Valkyries.
Mhm.
And she also needs to be gone a long time. Like those two things are important. In my opinion, I definitely wouldn't change that. She needs to be there when they die to feel that responsibility,
Yep.
have that trauma. And she has to feel like she's been on a cigar for a freaking long time.
Yep.
Because
Both of those I
that
agree.
plays out real well on what she's acting like. Because she arrives there the same time they do, she's not going to be that nonchalant. She'll be pissed, angry. And,
No, that
the fact that he's got to talk her into it shows that she's just like, yeah, I made a choice a long time ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the only thing that would contradict that.
Well, that's. I feel like that's the only thing I would have kept different. That Valkyrie Tessa Thompson character. I just wish we as an audience got to actually see the Valkyrie in some capacity. A flashback scene would be cool. I'm not saying it wouldn't be because we would get a similar scene, but I don't know. I love seeing Hela destroying things.
You know what? Me too.
And that is a huge plus in this movie of the villain in particular. She's villain just to be a villain. We don't have to overcomplicate the villain of just evil. Yes.
I think you're underestimating, and maybe not, but I think maybe it's possible you're underestimating the power it shows when she comes through and she just slays everybody we know that's powerful. Because some of them have no chance. And these are guys that we've even said, that'd be a great TV show with these guys. And where people would say, oh, she wouldn't. This is where some people say there's a fault in this. In Act 2, we might as well start talking about a little bit. And but in Act 2, in the beginning, she literally comes in and here they are. And there's these people that we've seen go on adventures with Thor in the other two movies. And she just legitly murders them right there. And there's only one later that really puts up a bigger fight with her. And it's a great scene. And then she also walks right through an army of Asgardians. And like, for me, that's like, I wouldn't underestimate what that means to us as well. Because they bitch and say, oh man, they did wrong to those characters by killing them that way. I actually say the opposite. They did right by her by showing that they ain't stopping shit. And I think that means a lot to me. I think for me, that's how it worked for me rather than, I don't think they sidelined those characters. I think that was a purpose decision. I think Taika was like, we're showing you how bad she is. All these guys you love that keep living all these other ones. See ya.
I think that if you did my version of her killing the Valkyrie before she got to Asgard, instead of just ruining the hammer before he got to Asgard, it would have carried more weight of why she should not step foot on Asgard. Because all we have seen thus far from her at that point in Act 1 is she just walks through a portal, and then you have no idea what's possible, and she destroys the hammer, and then Loki summons the Bifrost. That's it. There's not enough yet to say, we know she's bad. There's no question of that. And her power is mighty, doing that with a hammer, of course. But there's not enough to say how kind of predicting what she's going to do when she gets up there. Because when she gets up there and she just goes through them like butter, that's huge. And I feel like if they showed that going through the whole Valkyrie army like butter, it would have been a bigger urgency as the audience and everyone to say, we can't let her get up there. And then she gets there.
And they did that in conversation, though, because Odin told them that. He said her power comes from Asgard. She can't get there. So that's
Yeah.
why when Loki does do it out of fear
But when you
and out
say,
of being a coward, Thor's like, no, because he knows what he said is true.
but for me, that's a little bit of a disconnect. When you just
Yeah.
say, "Oh, her power comes from Asgard, and she's unstoppable when she's in Asgard." Okay, you're just laying down the terms of what her power limitations and
Yeah.
expansions are. It's different saying something like that, but you don't feel it.
I
You
understand.
feel it when you see her cut through 70 Valkyrie women
Yeah.
and their horses all in one go. Like, and be like, whoa, what the heck is this person? And then say that thing should not come in Asgard. And all of a sudden, that would have been like, no, 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 to the anticipation of seeing a monster come up there. And then it makes more sense when she just starts slaying them all because you know that's what she's going to do.
Wow, it's funny we feel the opposite about this. Because I actually feel like the fact that it's a hidden history thing
I like the hidden
adds
history.
on to the
Yes,
layer of the lie of this thing.
I agree.
And I also think you can't do that without changing Valkyrie then. And I think that'd be the biggest mistake of the movie if you did that.
Well, when I talk about Valkyrie as the whole Valkyrie
Just
force,
changing
but Tessa Thompson, I wouldn't have even been in that opening scene.
right.
She's just someone that they found on Sakaar, that he has this idea, you are one of these people. You could help me.
And no,
Yeah.
I think you're keeping a lot of that there, but the thing you're keeping out of it though is she needs to experience that event for her character to be that way, in my opinion.
I feel like that she could have experienced that, but also not gotten, Odin could have not gotten rid of the Valkyrie as an army. You know what I mean? Like Hela may have done that, and she feels a survivor's guilt from all of her sisters.
I think
But
maybe the best way it could have been the new Valkyrie.
yes, basically, like, because like,
If you do that, you got a great scene.
yeah, if you think
Okay,
about like in our
yeah.
army, like say we got wasted in a war or something, that
replace
doesn't
us.
mean the U.S. Army
Yeah.
is going to be gone. It just means you need more recruits because you're down manpower.
That's a great, you're a perfect argument you could have. I would tell you, I don't know if it would make the movie better or not. It doesn't change the movie for me.
I agree.
But
Yeah.
if you did explain it where the new group of Valkyrie that come in to fight, she kills right away,
Mhm.
that would be, I would agree.
Mhm.
Yes, that would be good and put it in. We just need to always keep that storyline that the
For
old,
Tessa Thompson Valkyrie.
we'd have to,
Yes.
because that keeps her in.
And I actually think that would improve upon
She
her.
that might improve a little because she'd be mad to think another wave of Valkyrie had to die.
Well, not only that, it showed that she's a legacy member of Asgard.
Yes.
She's from that time where they
Or Thor.
Yes. Which obviously she was.
Yep.
That's what we do get in the moment, the 2 or 3 glimpses of her fighting Hela. That's proof because Thor had no idea. He wasn't even born when Hela was going through all that stuff. So she already is a legacy character, but this will kind of cement her as like this bitter legacy Asgardian that doesn't want to go back because she's tired of everything, all of it. And she also has this heartbreak of what happened there. She feels more accomplished being a scavenger than she does being, which I love this taste on Valkyrie, this twist on her.
Yeah.
And actually, I think it just complements Tessa Thompson's character there. But
great.
I agree. Well, what you said a couple moments ago is that even with what those little changes I would have made, that whole restructuring, I would say, of Act 1, that doesn't take away from how great Act 1 was. To a degree. I'm not saying this as this didn't work for me.
Yeah.
It's just this is how I felt when I watched it. I'm like, oh, they could have restructured this, giving it more content.
I could follow you into it would be a great scene to add on. It adds to that powerfulness of what she is.
Mhm.
But then where I could also say, though, I think what they've done in the movie is enough.
Yeah.
By killing those guys when she shows up.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, because that is epic.
And it does kind of add to that idea that they don't even understand what's happening because they don't know the truth of all of this. Like, I think everyone's in the dark because Odin did this to them in the long run. You're generations now of people that are like, or thousands of years of a secret. I think I like that aspect of it, that he kind of screwed his own kingdom here. Odin really messed this up, which is why I think Thor walks away from being king later. Because it needs to go out of that bloodline. It needs to go out of that. But that's a whole different movie, a whole different topic.
Well, let's get into that Hela doing that scene. But first, let's give our score for Act 1.
We're just getting to Act 2.
So what's your score for Act 1 out of this?
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. That's we're talking. There's a couple things that I can't think of a better way to do it. And we could add your scene You've argued. I think you've got me where the scene would definitely work, but you haven't convinced me that it doesn't work without it. So I think that it stays a 10 out
Mhm.
of 10.
Yep. So I gave it an 8.5 out of 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
Alright.
I get it. Like, that's
Mhm.
still a good number.
It doesn't but it's still a great act.
Yeah.
It really is a great act, so anyways, so
Oof.
act 2, um,
I got this
the
one.
okay, yeah, you read this one.
Stranded on Sakaar, Thor is captured and forced into gladiator combat under the rule of the Grand Master. There, he discovers the champion fighter is none other than the Hulk, who has been missing since the events of Avengers Age of Ultron. Thor forms an escape plan. Meanwhile, Loki has risen to a position of influence on Sakaar, but ultimately betrays and is betrayed in typical fashion. Together, Thor and Hulk, Valkyrie, and Loki, forms a ragtag team known as the Revengers, and they return to Asgard to start Hela. And not this isn't included in there, but in the meantime, Hela pretty much destroys Asgard
Oh,
and
yeah.
army and raises a new one of her own, including what's the name of that wolf?
Ventress.
That's the name of it,
I think it's
which is
Ventress, yeah.
freaking awesome.
Yeah, and she's also at this time, trying to find the sword to the Bifrost
Yeah.
and all the
We got
citizens.
Heimdall out
Yep.
there hiding everybody and doing his thing. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Oh my god, I can't forget to talk about that.
Yeah. Alright, so,
Yeah.
well, this scene does start off with what we just left off at,
Yeah.
with Hela introducing herself to the army. I
That's the
love
one
that
way to put it.
speech.
Yeah.
Right? I love her speech.
Great.
It's great, quick exposition of who she is
She's awesome.
without having to, get into too much depth. I love that because that's what see, Hela is one of those villains for me. Then this moment is um is that moment for me of okay, I love this villain. What she does here, every bit of it, from her dialogue to her action.
Yep.
Spot on. This is refreshing for me to see a villain that they took this type of swing for and said, you know what, let's not make her overly complicated. She's simple. She's evil. She's the goddess of death. Let her kill.
Yeah.
And she does.
A lot. Yeah.
A lot. Yes. Yeah. This whole thing, her whole speech on I'm the rightful heir to the throne, Odin's firstborn. And then she said, I'm trying to remember the exact wording she says, but something about how I got rid of Thor and Loki. You're welcome. Like she gives that comedic tone to it to be like, oh, whoa, you're just bad. You're just mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm actually kind of surprised no one in the army was like, yeah, we'll just follow you then because you kick some pretty serious butt
I think
there.
if they realized who she just got done killing, they may have. Some of them may have, but
Yeah.
it all happened so quick.
It did, and it was very quick for us too. The only smart one for survival instincts was Carl Urban's character there.
Oh, yeah.
Executioner.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm with it.
Yeah. He's
Scourge,
just like, oh, okay. Scourge, yes. Like, okay. But anyways, yeah, that scene. Wow.
Yeah.
That blew my mind.
Yeah. I love that she kills these guys like this, and then we all are in shock.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think half of the fans took it as, oh, why'd you do it to those characters? And the other half took it as like, yeah, she's not messing around. And I personally took it that way 100%.
You were spot on what you said a couple minutes ago about that controversial scene for the fans of 3 of his best mates right there just died just like that. A lot of people have been like, oh, they should have had more screen time. What the heck? But you can't do a disservice to who Hela is.
Right.
You can't, for their character's sake, drag on another character's sake, drag on a scene for that. To Hela, they're nothing to her. There's no dialogue
That's right.
is needed.
That's
it's
right.
just, you're dead, I'm moving on.
You could have easily made the decision to have there be a fight between them, and they'd limp away hurt, and they're helping Heimdall, and they're still there, and we get all these little character dynamics between them there.
They'll dampen her power.
Would have been neat stuff, but the fact that there's no other, they wouldn't have done nothing else but try to fight her at that moment.
Yep.
And trying to fight her is death at this moment.
Yep.
And that's what they got. And it's like, whoa. And I think that and we're rebooting Thor.
Yeah, and this is a bold take.
Yeah.
This is a very bold take. This is literally killing off the old of what you thought and bringing in the new, and the goddess of death is doing that.
Yeah.
And it's great.
That's the task Feige gave him. Reboot Thor, because we're in a spot where people are complaining that another Thor Dark World, as decent as it was, in parts it was good still, I think it still gets too much hate.
Mhm.
But another one of those, we'll be talking about what are we doing with Thor right now,
Mhm.
and even Chris himself has been vocal about, yeah, Thor's kind of boring. I know we got to do something different, and I think people thought the difference was going to be the humor, but the truth is the difference is the reboot,
Mhm.
and the reboot is use the goddess of death, like you just said, and we're getting rid of everything. We're starting all new.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to do that, the rest has got to go,
Yeah.
and that's the bold choice. It's you can't just keep the ones you like. You can, but they got to have a purpose,
Yeah. Yep.
and it's like,
You're exactly right.
yeah, and the only reason Heimdall didn't die in this one is because they wanted to make sure Thanos had somebody to kill in the beginning of Infinity War. That's the truth to that too. Or he'd have died in this one too. But I think
Yeah.
they're kind of like, you know what, save him because we'll have him die here to really bring Thanos home as well.
Yeah.
Because that's what helps. I mean, and that's just how it works. I think that it's brilliant in that way. And I guess, yeah, you can argue that, but these guys, they deserve, yeah, they did. But that's the point. They did deserve better. And she did it. Makes us go, oh my God. Oh my God. Here she comes.
Mhm.
Not good. Not good.
Yeah.
And then when she's killing the army, oh my God, just that awesome
Yes.
choreographed fight scene.
Oh.
So good. And I love every moment
Mm.
when she shows up with things and you see um the shadow of her antlers on the ground. There's many times that happens in the movie.
Mhm.
Every time it does, I'm like, that is just because those are antlers, right? Like
Those
the
that's a
crown she
that's a
has is
ridiculous
like an
headpiece,
antler crown.
but,
It's
oh,
so cool though.
I love how they make it where it's almost par of her, like, when she pins someone against the wall, the antlers
Move
aren't
with
up,
her.
they're like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
It's like, "Holy smokes, this thing is, like, part of you.
Yeah.
This is crazy cool."
Like after she shows up there from the Bifrost and she's looking at, she kills everybody and she's looking at Asgard and you see her fate. Like when she stands a back shot of her, it's the antlers and right in the middle is the peak of the building. Like
Yep.
you're just like, he just did so well at organizing these shots. So
Mhm.
when she stands there before she gives a speech, you see that antlers are huge from the
Yep.
shadow of them. And
Mhm.
then she turns and they talk to her and she does a speech.
Yep.
Like they do it several times in this later when Thor confronts her in the throne room and all that. They're there too. And it's just
Mhm.
look, the visuals of this is so good. Like
Yeah.
Kate Blanchett, man, what a mean.
Great
Yeah, she's
actress.
mean. Yeah,
Yes, I
so
love that.
much.
I did, and I love that character change of making her the sister instead of what the comics did. We're gonna get to that when we get into our deep dives because I want to make sure everyone knows exactly where she originated from in the comics. But anyways,
So
so
let's talk about some Sakaar stuff for a little
yes,
bit.
let's dive into Sakaar, this
Yeah,
trash planet. What the
I
heck?
think it's cool as hell.
This is awesome.
Yes, this 80s like futuristic weird. It is just it's working for me.
You know what I appreciate about this, and it's a compliment to what you said earlier, that exactly is what Kevin Feige gave to Taika Waititi to revitalize him. See, I like Viking Thor. I like that type of stuff.
Me
I was fine with it. I didn't think it was too dull or too boring or whatever. Maybe a few more comedic tastes, but not that didn't take away from my enjoyment of Thor. But Taika Waititi, he's like, well, I have this idea. We're going to combine a Hulk storyline with the Thor storyline, so it's less Viking-y and more retro cosmic type Thor, and give him that humor. And for this movie, it works. I would have been fine with a traditional Thor Ragnarok film of Asgardians and the Nine Realms and fighting Hela and making sure Surtur stays back to not unleash Ragnarok. I think that would have been kind of cool. Or Ragnarok, I should say. But I love this. I love all that they did with Sakaar. This is the best way they could have done it. This is a compliment way of bringing the Hulk into other people's movies,
Yeah.
where it's still a Thor movie, but you've now entered Hulk's area.
Yeah, this is the best way to use them when you're
Yes.
use them, right?
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And I think that this tone of the 80s futuristic feel and like this thing, I think they looked at the things that are successful. And I'm not saying they're cut, paste, and copying,
Mm-hmm.
but it's definitely a version of, right? So when they saw how well the Guardians of the Galaxy did, they're just like, so you know that feel we get from Guardians?
Mm-hmm.
We kind of want this to feel this too, because this feels like a world the Guardians could live in too.
Yes.
And with that, I think is what helped opens Thor up to the rest of the universe of Marvel, where we could put him almost anywhere now.
Yeah.
And it works. Because I would argue that you never lose Viking Thor. We just don't get the Viking tail anymore.
Yes.
At least for a while, right? But we don't lose. Thor still is that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But this is taking him, making him this much of a fish. This is more of a fish out of water than sending him to Earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is where you, for the first time in the Thor movies, not the first time it's ever happened, but the first time it's happened this much with this much consequence, where we actually see an arc for Thor,
Mm-hmm.
where he's going from A to becoming a B. And there's a lot that happens to get there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When I know you can argue in both the first two movies, he still has somewhat of an arc about learning things, not like you do in this movie. This movie amps it up. They're like, oh no, we need Thor to go from that long-haired Thor that we know from the last movie, which is how he starts in the beginning of this movie, to a whole different person, like a whole different man. Who's like definitely questioning his choices. You know what I mean? Like, you need him to be that guy. And you just slowly are stripping him of everything that makes him that from before, until they literally take his eye. They literally cut his hair. They literally get rid of his weapon. They literally are stripping him things that some people say, but that's changing the character. Yeah, it's not I've read, I guess, this version of Thor we get in this movie towards the end. There's no other that's not in the comics at all. But you know what? Look how well it served the character, though. Because when you get to Love and Thunder, we got the best mix of both. We get our Viking Thor back. And he's this guy.
Yes.
So what the hell? I mean, now we're like, yeah. Now we do have Thor back, and he's still fun. And he's not just sad Thor all the time, right? He's a Thor that's doing things. And that's kind of like he set this up for success in that way. And Sakaar's, I mean, the Hulk is just awesome. That and this is a brilliant choice. Just the choice of, not only is this the right way to use Hulk, but to explain where Hulk went. This is so smart. That he just goes there, turns into Hulk, and stays Hulk because fuck it. You know what I mean? Sorry about my language, guys. It turns into stays Hulk because screw it, and he's just beating people up all day. It's just big baby Hulk doing his thing. And Hulk does kind of act like a big toddler. And that kind of speaks to, like, I'll touch on this real quick, because the hard part about this movie is when we compliment things in the middle, there's something later on that we need to say as well, because it complements it so well, is how they do Hulk in this, where this is the first time you truly feel like Hulk and Banner are two different people. When the rest of the time in the MCU, they say it all the time, that, he's not, it's a different guy, and he even says it a lot, that he's a different guy, didn't bring the other guy out, right? But this is the first time you actually feel it. Like, oh, I understand now, more so, that Hulk and Banner are very two different people, and that's because they allowed Hulk to have some language. I like that he's talking somewhat in this, because it's not structured. But it's understanding, and it's who he is, the Hulk.
Well, I like that too, because it really differentiates Bruce Banner from the Hulk, how he's supposed to be.
Exactly.
Hulk is, when Bruce turns into the Hulk, and he always says is the other guy, but all you really are left with most of the time from the Avengers movies, because he says, I can control it, and the first one, is that the other guy is just a green version of Bruce. This shows that, no, this is a other sentient being that's always fighting to take control over the human form of Hulk.
Negotiating with.
Yes. And this is perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. The Russo brothers complimented that really well in Infinity War. I can't wait till we get to that retrospective, guys.
I think they're all like, listen.
Yeah, I think at this point, because of how they ended this movie, and it was literally jumping right into Infinity War, I think at this point, everyone was doing everything.
Oh, yeah, I think the Russos had a lot to do.
They were already filming some of Infinity War when it got to the end of Spider-Man Homecoming onward.
Which speaks volumes on how good Taika did here.
Yeah.
Because not only did he make his own movie, but he also followed their guidelines to help it fit perfect to what they wanted. Because he still made some swings that they were like, man, maybe we didn't like that. So we don't like that you took his eye, but go ahead, because we'll just give him another one.
Exactly.
And it's still fine. And it works, because not only are we going to give him another one, but it's going to be from Rocket, and people are going to laugh because Rocket steals people's stuff, and it makes it work. It's like, oh, see, it works.
And they made the eye a different color than his natural eye. That's so cool.
It's just so good to work together like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it differentiates Hulk so much, which actually speaks to a thing that I kind of noticed about the Hulk in this, and this is where people might kind of laugh at me. And they say, "Oh yeah, dog, we knew that too. Why did you know that?" Well, I guess, guys, it always flew over my head. But there's not many times in the MCU when Hulk is the Hulk until he becomes Smart Hulk. Okay, but anything before Smart Hulk,
Yeah.
there's not many times in the MCU where the Hulk, while he's the Hulk, actually listens or obeys anybody.
Mm.
He's always
Well, and even Smart Hulk is still Bruce. He put the brains and the brawns together. Is
right, but
literally
at
what he
least
says.
he can conversate. You can ask, you
Yeah.
can say, "Hey, Bruce, don't do that." He won't, you know. But even
Hmm.
just Hulk himself, he's not really obeying nobody.
No.
But when you call him Hulk, though, he does.
Hmm.
So when you make when you notice in the first Avengers movie, when Cap turns to him, he doesn't say Banner smash. He says Hulk, and he turns to him like smiles and a smash. It's like, so why would that Hulk ever do anything Captain America says? He's just gonna Hulk out and do shit, do whatever he wants. But it's because he literally is, talking to Hulk. He's not talking to Banner.
Yep.
And later, that's why when Iron Man with Veronica or with the Hulkbuster,
Yeah. Yep.
his puncher says, "Come on, Banner, let's talk about it." And the Hulk freaks out. He goes, "Okay, should have called you Banner. Sorry, no Banner."
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like you realize, oh yeah, it just and then in this same thing happens at the end with Thor and Surtur.
Hmm.
He doesn't yell out, "Don't fight him" or Banner. He yells out Hulk, and the Hulk's like, "Monster." And he goes, "No, no, it's
Hulk,
Hulk."
don't smash for once in your life.
Yeah, I know it's nuanced and it's dumb. It's probably something stupid to be excited about, but for me, it's like it just shows the continuity of
Yes, character
paying
consistency.
attention of
Yep.
that is so important because it's just cool to know. It
Hmm.
makes the Hulk more interesting too, and it's like I think that's great that it's such a subtle thing. It's not a big deal.
Well, no,
It's so
I
small
think
and
that
subtle,
is. I would honestly, I would put that, and I'm gonna double check to make sure I don't contradict myself. But that what you just said is, I want to say I mentioned it.
The Hulk
Oh,
thing.
yeah, the Hulk thing, but not the whole thing exactly. It's one of my 2 underrated moments
Hmm,
of the movie, is that when you have a cinematic universe like this, and it's going through so many different hands of producers, directors, writers, creatives, character consistency can be hard to do.
that's right.
Doctor Strange and Multiverse of Madness is a great example of that. That you could do it wrong and you could drop the ball. Even if you do tell a great story, it doesn't work for the character's overall arc, because you have to look at all the past and what they're trying to do in the future to make your present work good. They did it well with Hulk here. They understood what he was like before and how to keep Hulk and Banner separate.
Yeah,
So
I
that's
agree.
it's a huge. It's a moment that I don't think people talk too much of.
You're right. Yeah,
That this is peak Hulk and peak Banner
yeah,
at
it
the same
really
time.
is. And at the same time, and to keep them
Mhm.
separate like that is perfect.
Yep.
And the thing is, it's almost a hindrance to the MCU that it's that good for that reason. Because yes, you are 100% correct. It's hard to keep that consistency,
Mhm.
and we see it fail sometimes with really well-directed people that do
Yeah.
real good. The problem is, though, is every time a Taika Waititi or somebody comes along and does do it well, we're saying, "But it can be done."
Mhm.
And it's kinda like, ugh. It sets the bar now. It's like that's why I'll say as good as these movies keep getting, the problem is the bar is kinda like, "Uh-oh." So when you get someone in there that can't quite hit it there, it's almost more noticeable when they
Mhm.
don't hit it. But it does as someone like me, though, I look back and I think, "You really don't got an excuse, though. You got several movies now of
Mhm.
examples of how to do this. What is
Mhm.
your problem?" Like, what's happening here? Like,
Mhm.
if you're messing up these other movies where these guys aren't messing them up, we're so far now. This isn't the beginning of the MCU. This is the middle of
Yeah.
of their project. This is now we're several movies in of mistakes that they've learned, and
Mhm.
they sat down with Taika Waititi. He was smart enough to understand what they're talking about. He was smart enough to watch their catalog, or at least the Thor movies. Even though he had to watch Ultron for a lot of this stuff, he's
Mhm.
smart enough to know that I need to stay consistent because I'm bringing this into a franchise, but I still make my own movie. And he did that. So when you say it to another director in the next phase, hey, be consistent with what we got,
Mhm.
but you can still make your own movie, and they're not consistent. It's like, who's dropping the ball here?
Mhm.
So as good as it is no excuse anymore at this
Yeah.
point.
Yeah,
If
exactly.
he can do it, they can.
Yes.
And if they can't,
Yes.
you hire someone that can.
Yes, because that's one of the things that when you're, I said this a moment ago, and I'm going to try not repeat myself, but this is a huge accomplishment. They've been able to be 17 movies in. This is our 18th episode, but our first one was an intro, guys. The 17 movies into a franchise, knowing bigger things are yet to come, and so many different hands have passed through this character of the Hulk, and you've kept him consistent. That is a huge accomplishment. That is a huge accomplishment because everyone's got their own take on certain characters, but to keep them still the same while also giving them something new to revitalize the character or revitalize the storyline, or in this case, the franchise. Wow.
Yeah.
Good job. Bravo, Taika.
So what is some of your favorite stuff that happens here in Sakura? I'll just point out a couple real quick so we can move this along a little bit too. I love Jeff Goldblum as Grandmaster.
I just love him in anything. He's so good.
I like that they do that really weird Willy Wonka tunnel where he's sitting in the chair and you go through this whole thing. I like the weapon he has where he melts the guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's going on a weapons list, by the way. I want to watch it. I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about that thing.
His staff. Yeah, that thing. Yeah, like, that's so cool.
Yeah, and I like him getting the haircut. Great Stan Lee performance there.
Yes.
And then, of course, the whole gladiatorial arena thing is awesome.
That whole thing is one of my favorite moments of the whole movie.
Yeah.
I struggled with even saying if that is or isn't, and we'll get there when we get to those deep dives. Probably my favorite scene of the whole movie.
I still have some of those empty too.
It's hard because I'm like, there's so many of them. How do I pick just one? So we're going to talk about them as we go, guys. That every bit of it, from the beginning of saying he's a friend from work and Loki's face, like that was awesome. That was awesome. And then just them fighting, and then Thor trying to do the Natasha thing. That's so cool. And then
it's so funny.
He does that same thing, and then Loki's like, yes, that's how it feels.
Yeah, I love all that.
That's awesome. And then when Thor just starts unleashing his power and doesn't even realize the type thing, like he's just going to do it. Wow. That whole thing was so well done.
Mm-hmm.
That was so thought out. It's not just two brute guys battling it out. There's a story. Yeah, there's a story being told, and it's complimenting both characters at the same time. And it's really making the audience think. It's like one of those scenarios when you would say, oh, who would win the fight, Hulk or Thor? Well, this plays it out where at one moment the Hulk's going to win. Another moment Thor's going to win. Goes back to the Hulk. And then all of a sudden it's Thor. And I think the ultimate conclusion is, guys, Thor would win.
I think it does kind of show that Thor could beat him.
If it wasn't for the Grandmaster doing that thing, I think he would have knocked Bruce Banner right out of the Hulk.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But we won't know because they stopped it. But either way, that doesn't take away from how epic of a scene that was.
To mention that thing you talked about, that's one thing I've found online that people complain about is Thor's the god of thunder and lightning. How does a taser stop him all the time? And I'm just like, well, if you're watching the movie, you realize it's more than a taser. Like it's when he does do that to him, his veins like pop out and stuff. I think it's a weapon that goes after your central nerves.
I was just gonna say that goes. It's very clear because he's incapacitated. He can't move. He can only see what's happening and know what's happening, but he can't do anything. That it's just like if we got hit by a taser, you know. He's just having it inside him getting electrocuted. It's not because. A taser wouldn't have hurt him. This is a taser inside your body, guys. Yeah. It's
you
different.
See his veins pop right out.
Yeah.
So it's almost like a neurotoxin. Really. It's really wild to see. I think it's kind of cool. You know, I like it.
Yeah.
And so
that's not a complaint.
It's not electric. It does. I think that's just what it seems because that's what they make the sound of it all. But yeah. This kind of. I like that. This is. Well, I guess we'll talk about it later when we get to the scene in the Act 3, because once again, I'm jumping too far ahead. So, yeah, no, I love all this. I like when him and Loki, when he breaks Loki out, when they both break out is a great scene. The whole thing with the Hulk in there is good. It's all that's funny. You know, all that conversation they have about the fire. One's like a raging fire. And, I think it's funny.
Yeah.
I also like Korg. The kick in the walls. Get out of here. Ghost, yeah. I think that's funny. I think this is where I will say what doesn't work for me in this act and onward.
Yeah.
Korg is funny. Don't get me wrong. He's just not always fun.
I feel that same way. He has moments.
Yeah.
But that's it.
And you know what? What saves him though is the times he's not that funny, it's not cringy enough to make me not like it.
Mhm.
It just doesn't make me laugh like the times he is really funny. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? He
Yes.
does that funny vampire joke with the stick, and all huddled together. I think it's funny, but it's not like slap my knee funny, like when he kicks a wall thinking Loki's a ghost, right?
Mhm.
Like I think that those moments are funnier. So it's a hit and miss with him, but the misses aren't necessarily bad. They're just not as funny.
Some of
Does
them
that make
can be
sense?
like, when it's a running joke, it starts to teeter on the annoyance. And the
I,
the
I
only
understand
the
that.
only
Yeah.
one that I would say that sticks out to me is the pulling the hammer thing. That because he's taking it as, "Oh, the hammer pulls you off," as, like, a sexual reference or
Yeah.
something like that. It if it's just mentioned one time, but then when Thor's still trying to explain it and he keeps babbling on about it, that's to me, if I'm talking to someone and that's how they're taking it, I stop talking because I get to that point where no matter how I'm trying to explain what I'm feeling or what I'm saying, you're not getting it and you're stuck on one thing. It's annoying to me at that
Yeah,
point.
and I think he wants you to feel that way about it.
Yeah,
That's the
which is
thing.
like,
So it
yeah.
kind of works,
It,
right?
it works if that's their goal. If it's not their goal and their goal was just to have it be funny, I'm like, okay, you dropped it there.
Yeah, I think they want you to be like, I know guys like that. That guy sucks sometimes. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I think the goal was that.
Like, your goal is making me wanna write you down as my most punchable face.
Yes,
Right?
but
If that is your goal, then you're succeeding.
yeah, and I often feel like it is on purpose. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
right?
Like they want him to annoy us as much as he's annoying Thor. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying? Like,
and that
and
oh,
it actually
there
kind of works. Like,
mhm.
it's like, oh, I kind of get why he's because
Yep,
when he's really funny, it's not annoying to anybody. But
yeah,
when he's not funny and it is annoying,
yep,
we're kind of like, we're with you, Thor.
mhm,
It's almost meta in that sense.
yep.
So that's why it's hard to say it's at fault,
Yes, yeah,
you know?
it's
But I
not
just will say not
yeah,
all the jokes land for me, I guess. Like, I don't know.
yeah, I agree. Alright, pacing, did that held up? Oh, yes.
Yeah, a lot, especially when we get to them escaping. This whole with the planes or the flying through the city there in Sakaar and
Mhm,
getting out, that is some of the coolest stuff. I love all that stuff. It's really good. Yeah, the pacing holds up. It holds up for sure.
yeah. So let's see, best character moment for you? I
The best character moment for me.
I
What do
have
you got?
2. So, the first one is Hela in the very beginning part of it, when she destroys Asgard, basically, as the people. She just brutally annihilates them. Great character moment for her. Really shows for us the severity of who she is. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And then the second one is Thor deceiving Loki. When he does that little trick of throwing that thing on him, and even Loki appreciates it. He's like, "That's a good trick there, brother." Like, that's
yeah,
to me, that's like okay, that's not just a Thor always falling for something or always being deceived. It's like, what's that thing that fool me once, shame on you, fool
yeah,
me twice, shame on me. He's learned from that after this long, and he's like, you're still the god of tricks, basically. So I'm gonna throw this on you, and he leaves him there because obviously he was doing fine by himself anyways. So I love that. I thought that was a really cool character growth for Thor, and
yeah,
in particular.
yeah. Because it goes against the grain of what's always happened.
Yeah, it goes against the grain, but also shows that Thor can still love him as a brother, but not be so blinded by that love that he's gonna always be duped into stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it also shows
He sets
whatever this.
boundaries.
Yeah, this weird argument people have that they're dumbing Thor down. This isn't a dumb movie.
Not at all. Actually, this point proves he is not dumb.
This points that he's paying attention to his
Yep.
life and
He
things
yep.
in his life.
Yep. This proves why
Part of it is I can't quite trust him.
this movie proves that he should be king. This is his
Well,
Lion
it
King.
proves that he's yeah, which is it's funny. It does prove that he should be, but then as we get to the end, you realize how much he doesn't want to be.
Which is further proof he should be.
Yeah.
That's the thing that's one of the things that it speaks to every level and medium, whether it's a movie or in real life. The people who don't want to be, but they either are summoned to be, like what Cyclops says to his son in that X-Men
Mhm.
97 thing, and are called to it. Those are the ones that should be.
Yeah.
It's not the ones that always want power. It's the ones that don't want that much
Yeah,
power.
they don't have a choice.
They know how to use it then properly. And Thor, this movie is an example of all that. Anyways.
And I like that Banner comes back because of Natasha's thing.
Mhm.
And I also like
Yeah.
the Point Break joke that he's like strongest Avenger, and it's
Yeah.
sorry,
Like,
Point Break.
damn
Oh,
you, Stark.
yeah,
Yeah.
damn
Yeah.
you, Stark.
Awesome.
I
Awesome.
love all that stuff. Yeah,
So, what's your score for Act 2?
I'm gonna give Act Two a 9 out of 10.
Okay. I gave it a 10 out of 10.
I just gave it the 9 because, like I said, sometimes the Korg stuff kind of falls short. It doesn't ruin the
Yeah.
movie for me, but if I'm gonna look at just how I feel about each act, then that's it. But because other than that, it's freaking
Because
awesome.
from what I remember, the Korg stuff doesn't annoy me too much in this movie. It's when we get to Love and Thunder that I start seeing them pushing the envelope a little
Yeah,
more.
and there's a good argument to be said that maybe they could have been like a
Mhm.
few less jokes.
Yes. Yeah.
There's only one Korg joke I'd take out of this movie. Just take out of it.
Mm.
And that's when at the end, when Asgard gets destroyed.
Oh,
We didn't need the little quip he has.
yeah. We could rebuild the foundation still there. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, I'm like, I
Yeah.
get it.
I think
But
that
I
takes
think
away.
it could have been a little more special.
I was gonna say that. I feel like when I watched that took away that dialogue there. Took away from the emotional gravity. Yeah, of what they were all witnessing.
Yeah.
Because that's a big deal. Asgard gone. That's
Yeah.
a big deal.
But that's like I said, I don't know if it ruins anything. It just would have maybe taste wise, but you don't need that joke.
Yeah.
That's one you could back off on.
Yeah. All right, guys. So let me read Act 3. We'll get right into it. Thor returns to Asgard, where Hela has fully taken control. Realizing she cannot be defeated directly, Thor embraces the prophecy of Ragnarok, the destruction of Asgard itself. He learns that the source of Hela's power is Asgard, so he sends Loki to summon the fire demon Surtur, who destroys Asgard completely, defeating Hela in the process. Thor accepts that Asgard is not a place, but it's a people, and leads the survivors, including Valkyrie, Loki, and Asgardian citizens, into exile aboard a ship heading toward Earth.
You don't get far.
Right? No, that's so true. All right. So, did this ending land well for you?
So the ending, as in the very end, right? It does
Yep.
land well.
Mhm.
I like that it ends with him being basically King Thor.
Yep.
You know, I like that he's got the eye patch. I like that the answer to everything was Asgard being destroyed.
Yep.
Plus this movie shows that this is one of the first ones to, or at least ones in a while, that had a high cost to everything.
Mhm.
And like I kind of alluded to earlier, there's really no winning in this movie. It's more surviving and
Yeah.
realizing what you got to do that.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, they don't win anything. There's
Mhm.
no stopping from this happening.
Mhm.
It's, oh, wait, we almost have to let everything fail. And we just need to save as many Asgardians as we can.
Yeah.
And I say that that's interesting because lots of times it'd be easy to say, how do we save Asgard? When it's like, oh no, this time we're getting rid of it.
Yeah.
And it also goes to that stripping of Thor,
Mhm.
of rebuilding him into something new. And so it does. I think it lands perfectly for me.
Mhm.
This one does. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. That I love that ending. Correct me if I'm wrong. The climax is Surtur being unleashed, right?
Yeah.
I feel like that's the
Yep.
climax. Yeah, but so how it ends with him realizing sort of what what Odin says to him in the dream or in a vivid
Oh yeah, we can talk
thing
about that too.
that that is who are you, the god of hammers or the god of thunder?
Yeah,
And be like,
it's a
yep,
line.
yep, exactly. I love that he's still able to like, kind of communicate with Odin to a degree because Odin's just in Valhalla and all that stuff. Although, is Odin in Valhalla? He didn't die during battle.
Well, I think
Isn't that what they say?
I think because he's Odin,
He gets a pass.
I believe so. I don't know. See, the problem is in the MCU terms, he's going to be there, obviously. In real Viking terms, you know,
Because see, that's the joke in Love and Thunder when he finds Lady Sif and she's like dying on the battlefield, and she says, "Let me die and rest in Valhalla." And Thor says to him, "You're technically not fighting right now. You won't go to Valhalla." And she says, "Oh shit, save me!" You know, it's a joke, but at the same time,
that's true. Yeah, that's true for her,
because
but maybe not for him though, because I think he's ultimately he's ultimately God to them. He's their
Yeah.
Jesus. So it's kind of like I think his place in Valhalla is set.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I would have to freshen up on my history of Odin himself, because there is a whole, like, his journey of how he became what he
Mm-hmm.
became and why he is what he is.
Because Frigga definitely died during battle,
Yes.
but Odin was just sitting there. Just saying, anyone who's an Odin fan, you already know that he's messed up. But like, is he in the afterlife? He should be. If I had my way, I would say he should be. But at the same time, if
It's
they're trying to be consistent with how all these warriors die and all that stuff,
it's
it's
funny though.
almost
I
like,
think there's an argument to how he died and what the consequences were of it. And why I say that is because, like, I've watched that show Vikings a lot, and I love it on History Channel, and it's an excellent show, perfect show from beginning to end of that whole series. But the way it's described in that through Ragnar, Lothbrok, and all of them is it's not necessarily that you have to die fighting in battle to get the. There's actually different ways to get the Valhalla.
mm,
You can get the Valhalla by being a sacrifice.
mm,
If you are chosen, if you volunteer, say, oh, someone needs to sacrifice somebody because our crop has died this year and we don't know what to do, and it's several years and people are starting to die. It's like, no, the one good way, the one big sacrifice to the gods might please them, and it's always a human life.
yeah.
And if
So
you volunteer for that, you're going to Valhalla because you're doing something for that.
that's the battle you're fighting, basically.
Yeah, in a way, it
In a
is a
way.
battle. That's right. And or if you're a servant to a lord or an earl, they'll kill you and bury you with their treasure because they believe that you're gonna protect their treasure while they're still alive.
So
So
technically, you're
they
in
would be in
Valhalla.
Valhalla with their treasure.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
I can see that. So you're fulfilling your
yeah,
duties
and if
still.
you die of natural causes of being sick, you still go to Valhalla,
Mm,
depending on what it is you died from. Now, if it's a wound and you're dying from it, you're going to Valhalla. If you're sick, sometimes they saw certain diseases, depends on what the disease was. Some diseases, the way they manifest, meant a curse and you're not going. Some were diseases of the god. They had different types. They saw if you died of the flu,
yeah.
you might be like, hey, that's a disease that God, that Odin gave you to come to him. Or if you died of something that made you look weird and things start falling apart,
That's
they might
probably a
see that as a
curse.
curse and you're
Yep.
not going to Valhalla. So it's the
Mm,
way, you know what I mean? Like, they have weird ways to do it. But see, the way Ragnar died was he didn't die in battle, but he was a prisoner and they put him in a cage and they killed him with snakes. And he announced to him that they wanted him to beg for mercy, and he wouldn't. He says, "Oh no, I'm not going to beg for mercy because the Valkyries are going to come and they're going to take me, and my sons are going to come and kill you for killing me." And they're like, "Wow!" And his place in Valhalla was upheld. Like,
mm,
so it's like,
yeah. So,
because you're kind of being true to who you are.
yeah.
Your best way to go though, your easiest way to Valhalla is dying in battle though.
Yeah.
So to them was like, hey, let's go fight.
That's a guarantee.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat some mushrooms, so I'm tripping out, and I'm gonna grab some axes and stuff, and I'm gonna go in and just kill until I die. And I'm going to Valhalla. And of course, to them, the mushrooms were actually their way of speaking with the gods, but it really was just getting them super high. And they didn't realize it. But this
Yeah.
history guys is strange, and that's kind of how it worked. They based a lot of their thoughts around eating mushrooms, which is really wild if you think about it. You'd have these guys, they'd sit there and eat mushrooms, and they think they're seeing the future, and they become oracles, and they paint a third eye on their forehead, and all it is just high as hell all day. But like, it's
Yeah.
like, but he's talking to things and he's seeing colors that you got to think of what if you think it, you don't know what this is. It
Mm-hmm.
might be to them. Yeah, this is wow. But see, they also believe that you can go through two different heavens. Like Ragnar believed that he could leave Valhalla when he dies and go visit his good friend in heaven because his good friend is a Christian. He just believed that was true.
Mm.
So they had a lot of weird ways of looking at it of what, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Huh.
so it's a strange thing. But so yeah, is Odin, yeah, Odin's there because he's Odin
Yeah.
for one.
For
And
this
for two,
movie,
he didn't
he's
need to
there.
die in battle, technically.
Yeah.
You know, spiritually, he was still a Viking, and it was true.
Mm.
He just, if anything, he shouldn't be there because how he treated his kids,
Right?
Because my God, and he let Asgard down. Like,
Yeah.
truthfully,
He started a battle with his death.
this should be the first thing Thor says when he does get to Valhalla is, "You, we got to talk." It's like, what you do that for? Like, because really, I mean, technically, by their rules, Hela is going to be at Valhalla, right?
Mm-hmm. But also, she's Hel, who's the goddess of death that rules
Right.
over the Hell realm.
So she's
So can
she's
she
just
go to
condemned
Valhalla?
to it?
Yeah, I think
So if
so.
she dies, she just go home? Is that what that means?
I'm
Is
trying
she
to
back in
remember.
prison or is she just destroyed? Like,
See,
I'm guessing destroyed, right?
the comic version of Hela, and I'll touch upon it now since we're talking about it. She's actually Loki's daughter in the comics,
So
not
she is
sister.
still an Asgard, well,
Yeah, well,
quote unquote.
quote unquote, yeah.
Yeah.
But she was bound to Hell, but because of her heritage of Jotunheim, where Loki's from, Odin granted her dominion over both Jotunheim and Hell, and her whole shtick in the comics, of course, is she's bad. Of course, she's bad. She's goddess of death, of course, but she takes those that are unworthy for Valhalla, and she keeps them in Hell. The souls
Gotcha.
are unworthy, the really bad guys that don't die in battle type thing and all that. So there is a fine line. I think the Valhalla, from my understanding, at least from the comics version of it, is you go to Valhalla if you're fighting on behalf of the good guys type thing.
Okay. Okay.
Whereas if you're bad, Hela gets to take your soul. There's actually one comic line where Steve Rogers goes to Hell and I'm trying to remember how it is. I think he promises her his soul if she gets him out. Like, he doesn't go to hell from dying. He just physically goes to hell. And like he's sent there for some reason or whatever. And he meets her. And she says, I know all about you and all this stuff. And she says his whole history and everything. And he says, I need to go and fight the battle that I'm supposed to be fighting right now with my friends or family, whatever. And he says to her, she says, I have the power to get you out of here, but you have to do something for me in return. So he promises her, kind of like a Mephisto thing, you can have my soul if you get me out of here. And I die in battle. He doesn't die, of course. So that part is upheld for Hela's part, at least. But I believe that's either in a comic or in a cartoon. It's in some sort of comic line of this.
Wow.
So
Pretty cool. I like that.
anyways, so
Yeah.
yeah, ending landed for me. Best moment for me in Act 3 is unleashing Surtur.
Yeah.
I think because it is the climax, but also that is a bold choice, and it looks awesome.
Yeah, I had a couple here. The Surtur one wins overall, but I also think the fight on the Rainbow Bridge is freaking epic. It's one of the when he comes down and he's just all full on Thor and he's just doing his thing. It's really the music starts playing as this movie is doing its thing.
Yep.
And like freaking what's his face? Carl Urban's character
Yep.
comes out with the guns, and I like that. We
Scourge.
haven't really talked about him, but it's just because it's just I don't really have a lot to say. I would kind of wish there's a more for him, but I like that he was just this guy that went along with it because he doesn't want to die. But then in the end was like earned his way. You know what I mean? I like that.
Yeah.
And I also like the thing with Odin. It goes to show me that this is how I personally I might be wrong, but this is how I take Thor's power in this whole thing, because everyone kind of thinks it's weird that why couldn't he just this and that at certain times. I think Thor's power, we learn in this just as Thor learns. Because I think Thor ultimately, most his life, probably thinks a lot of his power still comes from the hammer, even though he still can do electricity stuff when he doesn't have it. But I think he thinks he's powerless without it, right? I think that this movie complements this though, because we now see that no, the power you are the god of thunder and lightning. You're not the god of hammers. Your hammer's just your weapon, the conduit.
Yeah, yes.
And
Your hammer just helps you focus that power and
That's
harness it and
if
wield it.
yeah,
But that doesn't mean you can't do it without
we
it.
see him mature into the thing that now he can focus it himself.
Mm-hmm.
And then you also realize, I think Thor's power, it's I think it's power level of it, like the level of power that he has, actually is very much tied into how he is mentally, like mental health wise.
Mm-hmm.
When if he's down and out and he's doubting himself, I think his power is weaker. And I think when he's mad and he's confident, his power is strong.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that. I think moving on, we see that as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when he decides to hold the thing open for the star to go through him, and he shows up and give me Thanos, you know, those are like, holy shit, you can't stop this guy.
No,
But when
yeah.
he's fat, Thor with Cheetos in his belly button, he probably couldn't start a light bulb.
Yeah.
Thinking he could, which is why they kind of stopped him from doing the glove. Like, hey, you're in bad condition for this. Like, if his power was just always that powerful, he wouldn't have been in bad condition. But I think that I think his power is definitely linked to how he feels,
Mhm.
for sure. You know what I mean? He's not just always that powerful.
Yeah.
Well, like Hulk could be sad, but he can still do whatever the hell he wanted. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's just Hulk. But I think that with Thor, it's very much so. He's got to have. That's why that Rainbow Bridge is such a great scene because he does accept it and bring it. But it is cool that he still can't beat Hela, and they realize,
Mhm.
shit, we can't beat this. We can't win.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, I'm going to cause Ragnarok, which makes the prophecy from or the vision that he saw from Age of Ultron come true.
Mhm.
The whole I think Heimdall literally tells him in that vision that you bring Ragnarok.
Yep.
And he brought Ragnarok,
And that's yeah. Yep.
literally.
Yep.
It's like, what? It's
Yep.
wild that they just follow through.
That was cool.
It's genius.
That was really cool
It's
compliment
genius.
to Age of Ultron,
It's
which is
those moments that
nice.
make us think, was Age of Ultron better than we thought?
Yep.
And then we
Well,
watch and realize
see, that's
Yeah.
one of the things that Marvel does really brilliantly is any movies that are not as good or well received for whatever reason, whether structurally or the tone or just anything, any part of it. Future movies can be able to reference it, complement it, and make it where that was necessary to have that duller movie. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So we could give it a lower score, but if it wasn't for the Dark World, we wouldn't have gotten what we got in Endgame. If it wasn't for what happened at Age of Ultron, we wouldn't have gotten both Thor and Bruce that we got in this movie. So the same thing with the Mandarin. If we didn't have what we had in Iron Man 3, which I still don't like, but
I understand.
it wouldn't have made when we got the payoff of the real Mandarin. It tastes so much sweeter now that we got it.
That's right.
So
That's
that
right.
Marvel is great at that, which gives me hope for any of their bad movies. We might get 3 or 4 movies away from now, and they do either another Captain America movie or something that references Brave New World, and be like, okay, I see what you did there. You know?
My biggest fear is we go into Doomsday, and Steve is the one that makes some sort of comment that references Brave New World in a positive way.
Oh yeah, well,
You
because
know what I'm
there's
saying?
no way for him to do that. There's
What if
he doesn't see it. He's never seen Brave New World.
No, but I'm just saying if Steve sees,
You know?
but if he sees, the new suit and because when we go into Doomsday, who's Captain America right now? Anthony Mackie is.
Mhm.
He's gonna see it, and it's just gonna be like, looks good on you,
Yeah, that's
and
it.
we're gonna be like, no, it doesn't. Stop it. You know it doesn't. It's bad because that's how we feel, right? We feel like they fail us in that aspect.
Mhm.
The smartest thing they could do is he hands the shield to Steve.
Mhm.
I think when he shows up, as Steve shows up in Doomsday, in that moment, and they actually meet, he needs to hand that shield to him and be like, "We need you. We need Captain America, like you."
Yes.
And then we're gonna be like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's what's gonna happen.
That should happen.
It's
That
not
should
gonna,
happen.
but it should.
Climax earned, yes.
Yep.
Your biggest issue, would you say, with Act 3? There's only one issue I would say that I had, but it's not.
Card stupid joke at the end, I guess.
Yep,
For me,
that is a bad. Yeah, that is bad.
it's minute.
See, I can't even say this is my biggest issue because there's no actual confirmation of it. It's suggested at the end that both Surtur and Hela are dead.
Oh yeah.
But one, we don't see anyone actually die, so you can't say that. But two, we do know Asgard is gone and Surtur's just not there and it blows up. I kind of wish that they were still around.
I agree with the Hela part of it. I think Surtur was excited. I think that was his goal. I think he's like, he wants to just fulfill his prophecy.
Yep.
I think he knows it means
Yeah. So
him being gone too.
Yeah.
But that to him, that was like, well, if that was the purpose of your life, he
Yep.
wins.
Yeah.
If anybody won in this, it's Surtur. He got the best of the deal. He got to do exactly what he was born to do, which is destroy Asgard.
I just think it'll be, for Hela's sake at least, it'll be an interesting thing to see her return where she doesn't have that power because Asgard is gone.
I agree with you. I think it'd be cool to see her return.
Not needed to return, but just to see her return and be like, oh, you are still evil, but you're kind of powerless now because the source of your strength from Asgard is not there anymore.
Yeah, I think that's the two arguments against her of her being alive. Is one, her source of her power is Asgard's gone, so really Hela now would just be a woman.
Yep.
And secondly, if there's anything that can destroy her, it's the thing that's meant to destroy them, which is Surtur.
That's true. Yeah.
So, and not Surtur from the beginning, but Surtur mixed with the Eternal Flame.
Does she get cut at all in this movie? I think maybe one time. And
I think Thor and her have some good moments back, but it's not. I mean, it just doesn't.
Because I know
She
when
gets stabbed, and it's like it doesn't phase her.
Yeah, she got stabbed in the back during that army scene. And she immediately turned around and killed him. But I think she's still fighting with that sword inside her.
Like, whatever.
Like,
yeah, she's very unstoppable.
She's overpowered to a degree.
Well,
but it's good.
But she's where her power is. Right?
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, I think if anyone's going to destroy her, though, it's going to be Surtur.
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah.
I mean, he hits her. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I always thought that it was very convoluted. Like, he just comes down and we think she just falls in. Oh, no, the tip of that sword is her. Like, boom. If you watch at the end of that, you see he does. It's direct hit. So if he doesn't kill her, she took a real big hit from one of the most powerful things in her world.
Yeah.
In her universe.
I mean, technically speaking, that doesn't, even though it was that powerful thing, Asgard is still there and she is still that powerful. That it probably didn't, but at the same time, I think by the time Asgard actually exploded, you're right. I think she exploded with it.
Yeah.
Because that is everything for her.
Yeah.
Who knows? But as of right now, Cate Blanchett's not returning. No. So we don't.
I mean, with some real creative writing, you might be able to do something.
Watch, she's in Secret Wars and she's with Doom. Anyways,
comes out as his wife.
Oh, okay. Anyways, I don't know about that, but
Magneto just kill her.
yeah, yeah. Throw me your swords, I throw them right back.
Yeah.
Like,
God damn, do that. Just watch minutes of him beating off fighting off Apocalypse. I think. Yeah,
I think he could. Yeah,
they're gonna have to think of a good way of killing Magneto.
I agree.
Better not be cheap, y'all. I'm telling you right now. I'm gonna want a refund.
So your score for Act 3?
I'm gonna give it.
I gave it a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10 as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, post-credit scene. What happens as the Asgardian refugee ship travels through space? It's intercepted by a massive vessel belonging to Thanos. This directly sets up the opening for Avengers: Infinity War. Post-credit scene is on Sakaar. The Grandmaster attempts to calm an angry mob and claims the revolution is over, and he was actually part of it. It's a humorous tag to show he may or may not have been overthrown.
Mm-hmm.
We really don't know that part. But yeah. How important are they to the MCU?
So that first one's mega important.
Yeah.
Because it's leading right into a big deal.
Yep.
Which is also sad to think they went through all that just to have half Morty die.
Yeah, right?
God, man.
And if that's not enough, when the snap happens, whatever half is left, there's half again. Yeah, so like, what the heck?
And there's like 3 Guardians walking.
Like, what the heck is going on? Right?
You did good.
Yeah, good. Yeah.
Gosh.
For the Grandmaster part, it's not really that important because there's no payoff yet.
Yeah, you know what? I'm actually sad about that because I think that I think he can talk his way out of being killed.
Yeah.
Because he's that kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like to see, and you know what would be smart? And if they ever, did they have the rights to the Hulk back again now? It's back real fully and they just haven't done nothing yet?
It's the solo distribution rights. So they could do a full Hulk movie, but they cannot release it without Universal doing it.
So I think if they're smart, they would start looking into fixing that problem.
Mm-hmm.
And your first solo Hulk movie would be a World War Hulk.
Mm-hmm.
I know that this touches on that, but I would argue to say you're in a perfect position at this point to do this with the Hulk. Because what else can we do with him right now? We're getting kind of like, and B, if he does some bad things in Spider-Man No Way Home, it's a good opportunity for everybody to say, maybe he needs to not live here anymore. And and let that storyline play out.
Which is that story,
and then we get a World War Hulk movie where it is just on that planet. Then you can have your Bay-to-Bay Bill or whatever. We can have a lot of fun stuff. And we get Jeff Goldblum back. I think that'd be great. I think that'd be a great idea.
They might even have a way of doing it where it's still a Hulk-centric movie, but it's not. And I don't want to say this to like scapegoat another character into someone else's supposed to be movie like they do a Brave New World, but they could do like Avengers World War Hulk, and it's the Avengers keeping Hulk at bay from unleashing hell on Earth or wherever, and he brings Sakaar and the Grandmaster and all them with him type thing. Sick. So it's still an Avengers movie, so they don't get that distribution trouble, but Hulk is your main guy in the movie.
Because you can't, at this point they're tied with Hulk, right?
Yeah.
Other than, let's say they got all the rights where they don't have to worry about the Universal stuff.
Mhm.
Even then, to make a Hulk movie and not have other characters show up is almost impossible.
Well, at this point in the MCU, unless you take him to Sakaar,
Unless you take him off world,
yes,
it's
then
impossible.
it
They
is.
all have to show up.
Yep.
Somebody does.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't do that and destroy something, and the heroes don't show up.
Uh-huh.
Right? So it's like, to me, the only smart thing to do here is, hey, you still got Goldblum out there. You can do it. He'll do it.
Sakaar is still there.
Have it. Let Sakaar. I'd love to go back to Sakaar and see that stuff. It'd be awesome. And then you're for, build up to a sweet big Avengers movie like that.
Yep.
That'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine seeing some of X-Men on Sakaar? I think it'd be some really fun stuff going on there.
I'd love to see kind of like I think that either this was a Secret Wars or Battle World storyline or something. There is a storyline in the comics, and guys, please comment down below and tell me what this is that I'm referencing. But there is one where the Grandmaster and his brother, the Collector, actually do assemble teams to fight each other just for the hell of it.
That's cool.
That could be a part of some of that too, is you get other characters. Yeah. But maybe it's like Hulk and his team versus Thor and his team, or Captain Marvel and his team, or something, and you have to figure out a way to get out of it. And your bad guys are these two brothers that are they're just using you like a chessboard, basically.
I think there's a spot for Deadpool in Sakaar.
Oh yeah,
I think he'd love that place.
Yeah,
like there'd be some funny moments of him just like living it up, and put his feet up, playing poker and stuff, and just, this is where he comes to chill, because it's just like a private, it's just, it's like,
these are his people.
His people. I think it'd be great.
Yeah. All right, so hype level I put at 50%.
Yeah, because the one really is the big one.
Yeah, so I just split everything in half. Score 5 out of 10 for me.
Yeah,
so
same. Agreed.
Okay, guys, deep dives. Here we go. So, casting and performances. The best performance of the film.
This is tough, man. All I did was weigh it out on the importance of the characters, what their arc was, the most important parts of their arc, the ones that made me excited the most. I can't think of many people that did bad in this, truthfully, in the long run. But this is the first time. I think this is when he's going to deserve it the most. I'm going to give it to Chris Hemsworth as Thor. I think that his character had the most character development that needed him to find and stretch those. He needed to find the balance of old Thor to the new Thor at the end and feel like it was fluid and working and made sense for us to accept it. The writing was there for it to be there, but if he didn't do it right, it would have been too weird. And as you get through this movie, he progressively goes from that Viking Thor that's kind of, pompous and all that crap still, to angry Thor, to I'm kind of getting it Thor, to look, I understand it, and I just need to do the right thing Thor, to I don't know why I can't do this Thor, to I understand my real power, to holy cow, I'm king. And that's a lot to go through. And I think he sells every minute of it when he does it. Because the Thor in the beginning is very different than the Thor talking to Loki in the elevator. And the Thor talking to Loki in the elevator is very different than the Thor at the end with his eye gone. And he's like accepted who he is. Or at least understands who he is more.
Yeah.
Because he never really does accept himself for a long time. But I think that there's very different things going on that he needed to nuance-wise do well, or it wouldn't work. Everyone else, I don't think, had that task. The only one that comes close would be Loki, but he's on my list later. So
I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth, for his performance and the writing of Thor, Thor had a complete arc the whole movie, from the beginning to where you meet him at the end. And Chris Hemsworth nailed it from the emotional aspect, the physical aspect, the comedic aspect, everything they gave for him to do. He excelled at every level. He proved that you could do this and make it work.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he deserves that crown for this.
Too. He had to work, or the movie wouldn't have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see here. Most surprising performance. Do you have one? I have two on the top of my head. Well, really, I actually only have one. The other one, I shouldn't be surprised. I just wrote them down because I wanted to. I put Jeff Goldblum as one of them.
I did too.
But at the same time, it's how do I say this without any disrespect? He's kind of him playing him in the MCU.
Yeah, it actually kind of works though, right?
Yeah. Oh, it's perfect.
Okay, to compliment what you say, yes, it's him playing him, but there's a menacing side to him that you see every once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Is kind of mean.
Mm-hmm.
That and Jeff Goldblum's not that, at least.
Yeah.
So that if there's any part of the character that is fake or that is what he's acting,
Yep.
is there's moments where like he's a mean guy, but his comedy and the delivery and how he's moving and doing his stuff, yeah, that is a lot of just Jeff stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which works real well. And it's neat that he's doing some of that music too, because he like when he's playing the keyboard and all that,
Mm-hmm.
it's actually him doing that because he plays music, and it's just funny that he like brings to the soundtrack. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. If he was a little more menacing, I'd see more of his acting chops. I feel like,
Yeah.
but it's okay. It works because we
He's a
love him.
great side bad guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But the other person I put was Kate Blanchett
Okay.
because she nailed the evilness. You
Yeah.
know, she was funny when they had those little comedic moments, but mainly she was. There's that role. She didn't have to do any emotional depth for it. She understood that Hela is just evil, and I'm gonna be evil, and that's it. And she nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah. I had first, second, and third place. And third place was Jeff. Second was Hella. And first, I'm going to give it to Loki.
Mm.
And I did this because this is the first time, or not the first time, but this is the final arc of his into becoming a good guy.
Mhm.
Because as we know what happens to him next, you know what I'm saying? Like he's this at this moment or at the end of this movie, they could have easily done this whole what's Loki's final like last little trick, and it wasn't. He committed, you know what I mean, to the
Mhm.
good part of himself. Like this is his transformation. And so I gotta give it to him because I think he just played it well,
Mm.
you know.
Yeah, I can see that. All right, weakest performance. Do you have any?
Yeah. I'm not this is a controversial one, right? Um I'm gonna kinda give it to Heimdall.
Okay.
Only I like seeing him not up there just being the guy with the sword, but all he really kinda did was some exposition and some fighting. I don't think we got anything transformative out of him
Mm-hmm.
that was, like, amazing. So I say weakest, even though it's still really good, you know?
Yeah.
The other part of it I will say is I do think this is the first time I feel Anthony Hopkins kinda hones in on Odin, and it doesn't feel like there's something missing out of his performance in Odin this time that wasn't missing the other times. And there's a certain way about him. And I get it. There's a whole new part of him that we haven't seen, but there's like little aspects about him that he didn't repeat. That
Mm-hmm.
for some reason I just felt like, oh, that it just worked because it's him. I didn't feel like there was much for him in this
Mm-hmm.
other than these moments. So he gets like a distant second if I had to pick, and
Yeah.
be nitpicky. But here's the thing. I'm only doing it because I'm holding myself to the fire to pick one.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly, I think everybody does well in this movie. I don't think anybody really falls short, to be honest.
I agree. I agree what you just said right there because that's hard for me. I left it blank because there wasn't anything that jumped out at me like, oh, that's really bad. But I agree with your assessments on all of them. Heimdall, cool, he's there, and they gave him more to do. I still think the best moment of Heimdall was in Thor: The Dark World when he did that. He jumped off and he jumped out. That was he didn't do anything like that in this movie.
It's so awesome. Yeah.
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 Um.
Some of the action he did in this seemed lacking compared
Yeah.
to what it looked like he could do. It was like,
Yeah.
you probably could have done a lot more than.
Yeah.
And it made me wonder if the story had a lot to do with it, but he had it. So I'm not sure what yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but I agree. I feel like everything you said was to a T. And yeah, Odin did have this. He had this gravitas about him in the first and second movie that you don't see in this movie. And I get it. His role in this one is simply to die and fade away.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like he's still Odin. So
Yeah.
it's I don't know.
But I also think that this movie, particularly because his role is smaller,
Hmm.
he banked on the fact that if I look like him, no one's gonna care.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna come out and say my Anthony Hopkins lines and walk off.
Yeah.
And it kind of did. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
This is the first time he felt just more like a guy,
I agree. Yes.
which might compliment it actually a little, but I do miss
Mhm.
that little bit of him that's a little weird. I
Yeah.
think maybe we get a little taste of it when he does see Thor, though, because the line that you're not the you're god of thunder and lightning, not the god of hammers. A little bit it comes out there, but it's not, not enough. Though.
Yeah.
Where I feel like if they just would have gave him I guess part of me thinks he could have got a better send off.
Hmm.
But then once again, I struggle telling if it was meant to be this way so we don't like him anymore,
Mm.
or if it's this way and it's just how we feel about it. That's why I struggle giving this whole thing a score, because
Mhm.
there's a part of me that's just like, Anthony Hopkins honed it in, and that's kind of why his death wasn't the most emotional moment, because they didn't quite just go the step they could go with it.
Yeah.
But then the other part of me is like, they did that on purpose because they want you to go into this going, wow, what a jerk to leave them with this mess.
Mhm.
So there's an argument for both because it works either way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Right.
hard to decide which one I guess it just decides on which one I want to believe.
Mhm.
Do I believe that Anthony Hopkins just did it and they fell short on the emotion? Or do I want to believe that they fell short on the emotion because ultimately they want you to realize this awful thing he did?
Yeah. I feel like the latter that you said is they purposely didn't give him that much of a thing to do
I agree.
because it's more about what he did in the past that's going to haunt them for the rest of the
Yeah,
movie.
it's a lot of the
Yeah.
unsaid that's the problem.
Yes. Yeah.
Which that changes the score though, right? Because like,
Mhm.
well, that's the different dynamic then.
Mhm.
That's the hard thing about this movie is certain things you could easily be like, but this is that, and that's why it's a problem.
Mhm.
Could be, yeah, but that problem is okay because it could be because of this.
Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense too.
This is the first movie I would say where you have a legacy actor that that's one of the things that I've always said on this podcast too, and I think it's true throughout these movies is that you get in someone like a Anthony Hopkins that gives a little gravitas and validity as an actor, and then they outperform what you think they're going to do for a superhero movie. Robert Redford's a great case of that. Each one of these, especially the earlier movies, had that. This is the first movie though where he, as a legacy actor, is not doing that.
Yeah.
And part of me thinks it's intentional. And maybe your legacy actor in this is Kate Blanchett type thing. Even though she's not legacy, she's still
Yeah.
modern, but she's still a fantastic actress, for a one and done type role. But yeah, I felt that. And from my understanding of the deleted scene that they didn't use not deleted scene, the alternate scene of his death, Hela kills him as opposed to him dying and unleashing her. Because I had to look that up real quick, and I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, that's what it is. He's a homeless person in New York City, and Hela shows up when they show up, and she stabs him.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't like that either.
I
Because
like that she doesn't
yeah.
come out till he dies.
Yes. Yep. I think for that reason, that's a good choice. They redid the whole scene and they did the new scenery change and everything for it because I like that she's only kept that babe because of his existence and power.
Yeah.
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 Anyways, so I agree with you on your weakest performances. All right, casting wins and misses.
I think Jeff Goldblum's a win.
Mhm.
I think Kate Blanchett's a win.
Yep.
For all the reasons you said. I also think Carl Urban's a win for this small character Scourge. That is, we haven't really talked about, but we'll just give it the quick.
I literally wrote those three names.
That's wild. Yeah, he's perfect. He's such a coward.
Yeah.
But he's funny, and
Mhm.
he's just kind of in to survive.
Mhm.
But at the end, he's like, "Oh, I'm not going to go out this way. I'm going to make sure." And
Yep.
he knows how he wants to go. You know what I mean? And,
Yep.
And I just like him. I just like it. Part of me is like, I kind of wish we had more of him. But
Yeah.
the other part of me is I'm glad we only got so little. What a casting to have such a small part, though.
A small part, but sprinkled throughout the whole movie. And what I like about it is it allows his existence as a character being there, allows for Hela to give some exposition of herself.
Telling him the story.
Yep. Yep. When she talks to him about, back in my time, we had executioners to execute people and their vision.
Mhm.
And I was Odin's executioner. You can be mine. That's really cool. I love
I
that.
don't want to die. Sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know what's funny? That's one of the things you mentioned earlier about this is that this movie basically is all of each one of these characters in their own way are just fighting to survive throughout this whole movie. His is no different. He switches to her side because he knows she won't kill him, but at the same time, he doesn't want to be on her side, but he doesn't want to go against her until he sees a force big enough to go against her, and then he decides, I am going to go against you, and this is my part in doing it. And she ultimately does the killing right off the bat because she's Hela, and that's what she's known for at this point. But every one of them is doing this as a way to figure out how do we survive.
Every character is.
Every character.
Even Hela.
Yes. Yes, she's fighting all of them so she can survive with Asgard intact.
That's right.
And when she's fighting Surtur, that's her trying to survive her power from not being quenched.
Even Jeff Goldblum. His power and what he has over them, this whole idea of controlling everybody and choosing and doing the ultimate choices.
Yep.
All this stuff, it's all about survival. He even shows them when it crashes about survival. Well, he'll say anything. He's a hustler. He'll do anything he can. Like, I was part of the revolution, right? Even in that post-credit scene. It's all about this whole thing's all about surviving something and not, which actually, if you think about it, the heart of the movie then, oh my God, this just made me, I just thought of it now, is Valkyrie. Because that's her idea, the idea that she survived that thing is the haunting her when they're going through now again, like, oh my God. How do you score this movie when you figure out that some of it's so meta that way? I've decided. I think I've decided on. That right there just made me go, that's awesome. How's that not awesome? Like this. I mean, it's there. The correlation is there. Like, interesting.
Yeah. All right. So this is getting really exciting, y'all. All right. Missed opportunities or wasted potentials.
I'm gonna, for the sake of our little argument I had earlier, I think it would have been neat to have another round of Valkyries that had been created and they do get destroyed by her. So if there is another missed opportunity, maybe one more show of her power, yes. I will still stand by. I don't necessarily need it to get it. Because I do take what she did to those guys as heaviness. But it would have been a sweet scene.
I agree
with that to you. And I don't think it would hurt the movie. It would have helped it. But it doesn't hurt it with it not there either. So it's
I feel the same way. I feel the same way.
Yeah.
And that's why I said earlier that's really a nitpick. The movie is great of the first act. It really is good. It's just that there are some parts where I kept thinking in my head, if they did it this way, it wouldn't have taken away from the rest of it, but it would have either given us an extended Hela scene since this is the only time we get her, or, just maybe tweak Odin's role where he had a little bit more to do with it.
Which is why it's so hard to score. You could easily say that's a fault.
Yeah, but it's not a fault.
If it's meant, is it a fault? If they meant that to be that way, it's not then, right?
It's not like they had to do that to fix a continuity issue in Act 1, because Act 1 is great.
I can't find any problems with it like that in that sense. Anything that majorly goes, well, this goes against a lot of them.
So I honestly,
hammer discussion, but we both agreed that's been a problem already.
Yes.
At this point, we need to let it go because they'd have to go back and fix it.
It's not that past mistake that's going to make this one. We're judging this movie on the merits of this movie alone, with what they already established.
I even gave the argument that back when Hela had it, maybe that was worthy for it. There was the cause they had was different than. So there's even a way out of that.
I really should have gone up from 8.5 to at least a 9.5 for Act 1, but I did. I gave it. I'm not going to go back on that part, but for the whole retrospective of the whole film, it wasn't that consequential to say that is a bad act at all.
Yeah, my God.
Such
a hard movie.
I know.
I've gone up and down 3 points as we've talked.
I know now.
Went down 2, went back up 1, went back up another 0.1. Like I don't know what the hell to do here, Sammy. I'm gonna give it my gut, my heart instinct when we get there. But
I think I know now I'm gonna score this whole movie.
I'm almost settled too. Almost.
Oh boy. All right, guys. So direction and production. From the direction style to the cinematography to the action quality, the CGI, and the music/score, what do you think of this whole thing?
So I'm going to go with the CGI. I think the CGI is really good. I love Sakaar and the production style of Sakaar and all the action there. It looks great. The fight with Hulk is some of the best.
Planet Hulk, Gladiator Hulk, whatever you want to call him. really
I love
good.
both their costumes. You know,
Really
I'm all in on
good.
that stuff.
Yeah, yes, from his helmet to to Hulk sweat to his butt.
Looks
Perfect.
great. Yeah.
You nailed
Yeah,
it.
and the action on top of it, the choreography in this is fantastic.
Yeah.
The Hela stuff is awesome. The fight with Hulk and them is
Yep.
awesome. The fight Thor does on the bridge is awesome. They're all the action in this is fantastic.
Mhm.
The cinematography is even better. I like that they made bold choices of like the fact that we got to go what it looks like to fly through the Bifrost. What a choice.
Mhm.
Like to me, that's equivalent to like when we decided to stick with Nightcrawler
Yep.
in Apocalypse, right?
Yep.
Like yeah,
Mm.
I'm gonna gush about that because you never would have thought. Someone sat there and said, "You know what would be really cool right here? Like when he just takes Xavier, let's actually see what that looks like from his point of view." And we're like, that's kind of. And then when we saw it in the movie, I was just like, my mind melted. I'm like, what? Because it was so
So
unexpected.
good.
I thought he'd grab him just
Yep.
poof and we'd see him. But the fact that we went with him, you're like, ah, it's just like, what? This is happening. We didn't need that. And you did it. Like, to me, that's the same thing with that. The
Yep.
Bifrost, I'm like, whoa, we're with them. What's going on here? Like,
Mhm.
and then it plays out, right? And
Oh, yeah.
the fact that you can be knocked out of it's wild because you don't even think about that stuff. And
Yep, and like you
yeah,
said about the hammer, how the
uh-huh.
Surtur battle in the beginning, that's so cool.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
so good. And when you're at the end and you got Hulk fighting the wolf and the scenes of them down in the water,
Mhm.
it looks it's big. You're like, wow, look at the scale here. And then when Surtur's out and he's huge and Hulk's
Mhm.
flying through, he
Yeah.
did well with the scale of what he wanted these to look like.
Yeah.
I was like, man, because it feels small, and then when they went big, it went big. And dare I say, I think this is the best Asgard's looked on screen so far.
Oh, well, I wanna
The little
compliment on this. Yeah, yeah. The little were there, which is one reason I think that's why one reason why I would have restructured the first act because you got to stay in Asgard a little longer.
do like things.
But it's okay. Um,
But I love
yeah,
I like that there's a fight on it. Rainbow Bridge has always been my favorite part of these movies.
yeah,
I love that there's a fight
yeah.
on it. It's just
Every movie there's a fight on it,
yeah,
actually. It's
there is.
it's really cool.
Yeah,
From the first one with Loki to this last one with Hela.
it's the
Wow.
best. Yeah, it's awesome
It's so
stuff.
cool, right?
And
I
the music is a character of its own.
yeah.
The music, I mean, it's just
He took a page out of James Gunn. He did bold choices. See, what's playing on our screen right now, all I need is a really cool cinematic scene of that instead of the flashbacky stuff. It looks good. I'm not complaining. It's what's on the screen right now, guys, is the flashback of Valkyrie fighting Hela a long time ago, and all the other Valkyrie are dead, basically. She's reliving that trauma that Loki's putting her through. But
yeah, but
it's
you know, they
so
utilize the
cinematic.
shadow of her antlers in this across the dead bodies. I mean, there's certain things it's almost like this was pretty perfect too. Like in
It
its own way,
is.
it's really good,
In
right?
its
Like
own
it's
way, it really is.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard.
Ugh!
It's so tough.
Anyways,
Yeah, I'm with
but
you.
yeah, no, so and that great example of how great the cinematography and the visuals are. That looks like it's ripped out of one of um those graphic books,
Yeah.
the graphic novels, I should say. Yeah, it's really, really well done. Um Also, the other thing I want to point out that you mentioned it in our history of the film, but the Jack Kirby inspiration that he drew in the Fantastic Four and some of those early comics, the Taika Waititi's vision of putting that specifically on Sakaar, or the whole mural behind Loki and the Grandmaster when Hulk and Thor are fighting, it literally is ripped out of the comics, and it complements Sakaar and the design they made for it so well.
Yeah.
I love that touch. And we get a lot more of that in the Fantastic Four movie because that's literally where it came from. But for this to give a nod to it, that's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Good Easter egg for hardcore comic fans, you know? All right. Now we're going to get on to our hot takes.
So I have to tell you, we've kind of already said our hot takes and through
Yeah.
our talking. Mine, I'll just over real quick. Like my hot take of it was it is a reboot, like a legit reboot.
Yeah.
It's a stripping of Thor on purpose, and I think that to do such a thing in the middle of a franchise thing that this close to a big Avengers movie,
Uh-huh.
I think they really were kind of like, oh boy, we hope this works. But I think my biggest hot take that I haven't mentioned yet is the big swings that this takes The one that got too much attention that they're too focused on is the comedy. I don't think that's the biggest swing of the movie.
Mm.
I think it's the only thing you notice first.
Yes,
And
definitely.
unfortunately, because it's the thing you notice first, it's the thing that gets the most attention, which is why it's the thing you hear most bitched about, to be honest. But to be honest with you, the comedy in this wasn't as jarring as the choices they made, to me.
Mm.
If you took the comedy out of this and they made it serious with still the same stuff that happens, it'd be like, whoa, I can't believe they did this.
Mm-hmm.
We'd be looking at it a little differently. It'd be a super dark, serious, really killing these guys doing this. If you just took the comedy out and wrote it serious, but the same story plays out, it'd be a wild story.
Mm-hmm.
It really wild. I
Yeah.
think the swing here was the story, not the comedy.
You just touched
They're
upon.
just stuck on it.
You just exactly touched upon what mine is, and it's going to kind of reveal my feelings of this whole movie. My biggest hot take for this is the biggest and most successful swing they've done since Captain America Winter Soldier
I
and
thought the same
and
thing.
getting rid of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That's right. That's right.
This is
Oh, that's so good, Sam. You're
this
right.
is Thor's Winter Soldier.
Like ×5 too. Like, because getting rid of S.H.I.E.L.D. was big.
Yeah.
They not only got rid of S.H.I.E.L.D. in this.
Yeah.
They put Hulk on, the Hulk stuff alone is, I can't believe we did this. Then Asgard's gone, the hammer's gone, they cut his hair, people lose their mind over that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
well, he goes through a personal. If you thought the Thor story was done from the childish way he acted in the first film all the way till you got to the Avengers type thing, he just went through a whole new character evolution, not just in how they wanted the more comedy,
Right.
the more natural feeling, the more modern touch to him, but also just him as a character. He starts off with this movie with a father and finding out his brother's alive, to all of a sudden he lost his dad, he found out he had a sister, he lost her, he loses his home. He actually explains all this in Infinity War to Rocket.
Yep.
All of that he says there, you're like, oh, that sounds like a great movie. This is the movie, and this is amazing.
Yeah, I will say this.
And yeah.
What's even more amazing about that, I'll even add to that, not only is this his biggest arc, the most successful arc, the fastest one, it's still just in the middle of the real arc of him.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you look forward, this was successful, so the other half of his arc could be that good.
Yes.
Because from Thor, I got the long hair, to I found my dad and he's dying, I'm all, Asgardian, whatever big princess he can be, right?
Yep.
To fat Thor becomes Viking Thor fighting Thanos.
Yep.
That's the full arc right there, ladies and gentlemen. That's the full arc right there.
That's big.
Actually, I lie. It's not. It still continues to Love and Thunder.
That's
the
what I was
full arc
say.
is when he gets his daughter. That's the full arc.
That is.
It's
and he loses the love of his life. You see, just when you think at this movie,
he's going,
yeah, you think it's done. He's reached a pinnacle. He's become king, all this somber stuff. He goes through a whole other evolution with finding Jane, reconnecting with her, and then her dying in his arms. Only when you think he's lost literally everything. At that point, he's lost his brother too. He's lost everything. Then all of a sudden, he gains a daughter, Love and Thunder. That is an amazing.
These people at Marvel that kind of took over at a certain point after Age of Ultron, after Thor Dark World and all that, was once we got to Civil War and on seems, or I would say Winter Soldier and on, I guess, would be the best way to put it. But I'll say specifically Civil War and on. Winter Soldier was the prelude to, do you like that? Wait till you see a bunch more coming.
Yeah.
But Civil War and on, from then, it seems like the creativeness behind it, the decision making, whether it's the directors mixed with the Russos, mixed with Kevin Feige, probably all four, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, they saw ahead. You went from, we're not sure what to do with Thor, we need to reboot him, to thank you, now we know what to do with him for 6 more movies almost.
Yeah.
Like how many? This one, the next Infinity War, Endgame, and then Love and Thunder. You gave us more for him to do in all of those movies than you could have even thought of with what you had set up for him.
Yes, and it makes me anticipate his Doomsday role, because he has his own trailer for the Doomsday role.
Now it's in the Russo's hands.
Yes.
Who oversaw this stuff. We know they did.
And for the 2-minute trailer we got for that teaser in front of Avatar of Thor, it looks amazing of Thor.
Yeah.
Oh my
So when you
gosh.
people sit back on their online thing and they're all cool and stuff, and they think they sound pretentious and awesome when they say they've ruined Thor, they've gone too far. They brought Thor back to life. Because I'm not saying you couldn't have made another good way like they did the first two. Like you and I said,
Yep.
I think there is a good movie there, but unfortunately, it just wasn't the taste of it wasn't set.
Yeah, there's some missteps, but it is there. It's just cloudy.
Yeah,
This one, oh, it's crystal clear what they
yes,
did.
they knew that
Yep.
we're gonna make this character someone that's gonna be like I said, I even said this before. If there's any of them that I want to go for longer than any of the others, I want Thor to be one of the oldest Avengers teaching the young ones.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think that
Yes.
leads there, personally. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? Like, I think that would be awesome. Yeah. What
Ah,
a feat to not just give him the best arc in this movie that you could possibly give, but to set it up for the next. I mean, how many movies? Ridiculous amount.
mhm.
Ridiculous amount of stuff.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
oh.
agree. Oh, guys, now we're getting to some more of our deep dive here. Answer fast, don't overthink. Best scene of the movie.
Yeah, Jesus. I mean,
Mhm. There's like 3 on the top of my head, but I feel like I don't know. The 3 that's going through my head is Hela versus the army, Thor versus Hulk, and Surtur being unleashed. Those 3 are so well done, respectful in their own, and the brilliance of him of deciding this is what we're gonna do with Hela. This is how we're gonna have Hulk and Thor fight and talk, and then this is how we're gonna end the movie is cause Ragnarok instead of prevent it. It's wow. I don't know what the pick of those 3, but those are my 3 favorites.
yeah, I have to tell you, all three of them are fantastic, and they're on the running up. But the one that's speaking to me the most, I just feel like it deserves it, only because I compare it to other moments in the MCU, and we would, or moments in any movie that we've watched together, and we've kind of looked at each other like that just happened. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And I have to tell you, when he sees Odin and Odin gives him that whole speech about the
Mm.
hammer and it, but when he does power up and hits her with that lightning and then jumps down to the bridge and just starts that whole sequence of that fight, it's just you're just like, ah, this is you just want to root.
Mm.
It reminds me of the Guardians hallway scene in Guardians 3. Because when we get there, that's a big scene.
Oh my gosh,
Their
yes.
last big fight
I
together is
forgot that.
so freaking good.
That is good.
You know, and then it reminds me of the other ones they do in the other Guardians movies of them together doing that.
Yep.
It's just like, how do you take away from how awesome that is? You know, it's hard to, yeah, I can't take it. I love that. I buy it.
Mhm.
Lots of times you don't buy those character moments, or it's not that you don't buy them, but they're fine. It works. That time was like, yes.
Yep.
And I'm going to give it to that for that reason,
Yeah.
because the others got all the good reasons to be there. But at that point, even in a rewatching of this, when he jumps down and that music comes out and the imagery of him flying down and the slow motion and he hits and he just boom, boom, boom. And you're just like, this is freaking, this is some of the best stuff we ever saw. You know,
Yeah.
and everybody gets their moment. She comes walking out, starts kicking ass. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mhm.
Loki's doing some of the best fighting we see Loki do. I mean, it's just that whole segment, in my opinion, is the bridge or the fight on Rainbow Bridge. I'm going to give it to that scene.
Yeah. Alright, so I'm gonna talk about, uh, well, least best scene.
I mean,
It's hard to talk about the least best scene because this movie was they may have moments here or there. I guess maybe some of the jokes didn't land as well as they could have, if you wanna say least best scene, but, and everyone out there on the internet, they're gonna say the least best scene is when Hela kills those 3 Thor companions right there in the
okay.
beginning. So I see that if you're a fan of that, but guys, you have to realize the meta-ness that we talked about of this already is that is literally a great way of getting rid of the old and bringing in the new. So I can't say it's the least best scene, but
Least best scene. So I don't think there's any scene in this that goes by that makes me go, boy, that could just not be there. Um,
yeah, right?
but maybe there's a scene I can try to think of off the top of my head. I've had all this time to think of this, guys, and I can't. So I'm going to be honest with you. unless I can come up with one before we get to the end, I want us to move on because
Yeah.
I don't really have a least best scene. But I guess, because like I was gonna say the scene when Odin dies, because it could have been more, but at the same time, we just got done saying, but I definitely believe they didn't want you to feel the feels there yet. So duh, it's not.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. So I guess you could throw that in there, but it's not. Yeah, we'll ponder that, and if we don't get to it, that means there wasn't one. So
yeah, I mean,
some movies can be that way. Look at Winter Soldier. That had none. Civil War.
Yeah.
That never had one.
you had to literally just pick things that were like not as good as other ones.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
but
Right.
for the hell of it, I'm just gonna say that one stupid joke at the end. Okay, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I had to give an answer, but even then, I wouldn't even take that out.
Yep.
I'd let that have its flavor because I like Taika. That's what he wanted us to hear. That's what we heard. Didn't ruin it. Could have been more emotional, but whatever.
Yep.
See,
I agree.
like what are we doing here? Like it's like yeah. Oh, so hard.
All right,
This movie.
best villain moment. So hands down, like I said, for one of my favorite scenes, there's, you know what? There's two scenes for villain. I guess how do I say this? They're both involve Hela because she is my favorite villain of this whole movie, and obviously I already talked about the scene of her versus the army, but I'm gonna give this part to her talking to Thor when she walks up to him. He's on the throne, and it's not much of a conversation, but it's really good dialogue between the two of them on who their father is. And then, oh, you look like dad now, when she cuts his eye out and be like, whoa, it's really good.
Yeah.
I think they play off each other really well.
Yeah. I agree with you. I have three.
Okay.
Hers is that one's the first one.
Mhm.
The second one is I do like it when she breaks the hammer. I think it's awesome. It's
Mhm.
a oh my god moment, and it's
Yeah.
great. And she's got a great look on her face, and that's your introduction. What a great way. At least they didn't do the stupid crap like I always have been complaining about. She just kills some guy. She did something real awesome. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And I wanted to pick a moment for Jeff because he is kind of a side villain.
Mhm.
So I thought I'd want to give one of his too. And my favorite moment of his is when he zaps that guy. And
Kills.
melts.
That's his cousin.
Yeah, and it's his cousin. Yeah, and it's just how
Yikes.
he reacts, just how the whole thing. He's just a schemy.
You are pardoned for life.
Yeah, no.
Be like, oh my gosh.
But then when it happens, he's almost kind of like, oh.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I'm stepping in it.
forgot.
I'm stepping in it.
How bad it is.
I love Thor's reaction. He's like, oh my god.
Because it's terrible. But it's
It is.
what-
He just turns into this goo.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
So I like that.
He turns into Senator Kelly. Almost. Oh, geez. So let's see. Most punchable face.
So yeah, the other scavenger there that doesn't like
Oh,
great.
his.
I know she gets her due, but she just punch
Yeah.
in the face. She needs it.
I like some of her comedic moments. Yeah.
There are a couple times though Core could have used a good punch to the face.
I wrote down Odin. Look what you left your children. I know you're dying, but
You know
for
what?
goodness,
I like that. He needs a sock to the face, man.
for goodness, I know you're dying, and I'm sorry you are, but this whole time, you didn't mention this. You could have prevented this. You could have done something else.
Over 3 movies, we found 3 different ways that he's failed them. How?
I can imagine he gets up to Valhalla, and the first thing the Frigga does is slap him.
Yeah.
Just to be like, look what you left our sons.
It's like, what the heck, dude? You doomed to Asgard, basically.
Yeah, yes.
Thanks.
Our home's gone. Thank you.
Thanks, guy.
Anyways, one prop you take home.
Thor's helmet in the battle.
Okay.
That's
so
good.
Sick. I found one very obscure that you're going to be like, huh?
Okay.
The glass the Loki has when he's sitting with the Grandmaster and he walks in. Okay. It's this weird squiggly thing that almost...
Oh, yeah, the thing is cool.
It almost looks like one of those things you turn them upside down, the bubbles happen type thing. I'm like, it looks like a martini glass. It's morphed into stuff. That'd be pretty cool.
I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right, most underrated moment. So I had 2. I think I already mentioned one. I'm trying to remember what it is because I didn't write it down. But as we were talking about, I'm like, yeah, that is an underrated moment. Oh my God. I'm sorry. Rewind back if you want to hear that second one. But the first one I did put down here is And I thought this was weird, but then I looked it up online after I was thinking about it. I'm like, no, this is a legit thing. When Loki disappears on the streets of New York and the card is left, and Thor says Loki, and he pokes it with his hammer / umbrella. You could just write that off as funny, but it reminds me of the story he tells later that when he turns into a snake and he's like, and I love snakes. Then all of a sudden he turned back and he stabbed me. I feel like that's like a little nod to it, that it could be Loki turning out of a card to stab him again.
Yeah.
And part of me is like, that's kind of brilliant if that's really what they intended it to be. But I'm like, maybe I'm overthinking this.
No, you're not. I think he's been tricked by him a lot. Where he's
much
like,
where
he just turned into a card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like, I gotta check.
It's like Loki.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's 100%. Like he's very aware that this guy will do this stuff. Yeah. My underrated moment was one of your best moments, or one of your favorite moments of one of the other ones, which was Thor knowing that not to trust him and put the thing on his neck.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yes.
I think people pass that by not realizing that that's how smart he's getting to him.
Well, that's the thing. You look up online right now, what would people say is the worst thing about the movie? And they all say he's acting like a man-child. He's too childish. And be like, no, he's not dumb.
Yeah.
He's learning from all this stuff and he's applying it.
And what you're seeing is a Thor who's been hanging out with Earthlings, and he's talking like them, acting like them. And the more Thor spends time out of Asgard, the more he brings qualities.
Yep.
And he particularly likes Earth. Jean, on top of it.
Yep. All his Avengers friends and how Tony acts, how Steve acts, how he takes a little bit of everything.
That's right.
I love that. I love that they put that into his character because it's a great ease and justification to reinvent him like they did in here. So, anyways. All right, guys. Let's see. Most overrated moment. You might definitely disagree with me on this, I feel like. But I put for my overrated moment is the get help scene.
Oh.
I like it. I'm not saying I would have taken it out at all, but I feel like that's talked too much. And yeah, it's funny between brothers and all that stuff. And he says, good help. And he throws him and all that. I'm like, yeah, that's funny. I did laugh at it, but part of me is like, I feel like people out there have overdone it.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. I struggle with this one because I felt like everything is pretty solid.
Yeah.
I almost put Hela destroying the hammer.
That would have definitely. But I see your reason for it though, because of the worthiness of the hammer. If you had a better solid foundation of this freaking hammer, then it would have more gravitas.
It was going to be that until I realized we can explain why she had the hammer, because that was her meaning then. So damn it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, the one thing I thought I had wrong that I could really set on in this, I changed as we did this. So, I'm going to just let you have that. I'm going to agree with you on that one. We'll keep that underrated or overrated, I mean.
Yep.
Because I do feel like they don't talk enough about the dynamic of Loki and him in this. And for some reason, the thing they always talk about is, well, the one joke that does really work well is the get help joke. When it's like, no, there's a ton of jokes in this that work better than that. And that's just a fun tidbit with these guys. That's it. It's fine, but it's not the highlight of their situation.
I was going to say, and that is a fun brother moment, like I said a moment ago, between two of them, but it's not my favorite brother moment between two of them.
I'm going to be like, that's why this is
actually, I feel like, and this isn't a diss on this movie, but actually is more of a support of the movie before this. The best moment between Thor and Loki was that one scene when they're going to find Malekith with Jane.
I agree.
That is very good writing for both emotional part of it and just the brotherly part when he says, I really loved you. I really mourned for you. All this different stuff.
And I have, oh my God, I can't believe
it's
you just
so good.
said that. Put a little note there because we'll get there. Let's keep going. I'm going to bring that scene. I was going to bring that scene up.
Okay.
You brought it up before me, but I got to tell you, what you just said, wait till you hear what I got to say. Go ahead.
Oh boy. Okay. All right. I put Loki and Thor. Funniest moment.
Whew. So
I'm so bad at this. I look at my notes. I wrote 3 moments in particular, and I never finished it.
Okay, I got 2. I'm gonna stick with the 2.
Okay.
I love the scene when he tells the story about the snake.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he stabs me. And I'm just like, I could not stop laughing. Chris just does it so well.
Mhm.
It's funny. It's just that's how he tells the story is what makes it so funny. But I gotta give it to Scourge for my funniest moment. And he has 2 moments, I guess, technically,
Okay.
but it's in the same moment. I love when he tells them the name of the guns, which I actually
Oh,
had to look up while we're sitting here because I forgot how he split it, but he goes, I even named them, and what's his name? He goes,
death,
Destroy.
destroy. So together they destroy.
His words, you kid him, he's like, "Someplace called Texas." I'm like, "Yes."
Like
It's
my stuff.
yeah, my stuff. That is I have to tell you. That I freaking love that stuff. That is some of the funniest stuff. I think it's
Yeah,
some of the funniest I've seen in the MCU so far, to be honest. So
that's
yeah,
really good.
that's my favorite moment is Scourge with this stuff. But the snake story really had me cracked up. I love how
Yeah.
Chris just sells that story so funny, like
hmm There's one moment of oh, forgot his name already on the top of my head. Sorry, guys, I blanked on it. But he, uh, Thor. Um, what's the rock guy again?
Court.
Korg. I almost like Treg. I don't know why. Korg. Thor asks, I almost said Craig again. Korg. I'm messing up this guy's. Who's ever fought this champion?
Right.
And he says,
Doug.
"Oh, Doug. Oh, wait, Doug's dead."
Yeah. He said, "Doug did." Right,
Yeah,
Doug?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
Doug's dead. He's like, "You're new, Doug."
yeah. Oh, new Doug.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
We could almost go through and say what's the funniest moment of each character because truthfully, they all have a moment that's pretty freaking funny.
hmm
Because for his, I do like the ghost thing. I love that he thinks that, well, he's a
Yeah.
ghost. It's just a weird thing to say.
This is a
It is.
circle, a freaky circle.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
See, some of those jokes for him
Oh,
does
right.
land. It's when he tries to drag on like that hammer one that I'm like, okay, that's a little too far, but it's not.
And I
It doesn't
laughed
ruin it.
when Hulk did the whole fire thing.
Yeah,
That was great. Like it's
like smoldering fire.
yeah, Hulk more like raging fire.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's just funny. Like, it's good stuff.
Yeah, they all do have a pretty good funny moment there, in the whole movie. So,
But
anyways,
Scourge with that, my stuff. Oh my god.
yeah,
dude.
my stuff destroy.
Together they destroy.
And the girls are like, "Woo!"
Great.
The heck?
It's so only Carl Urban could do that.
Yeah, it was really good.
Straight face too.
Most emotional moment.
Okay. This is what we're gonna talk about. It's big.
Okay.
Well, I really think the most emotional moment in this movie is the conversation between Loki and Thor in the elevator.
'Kay.
So it might not be outwardly emotional, like people crying or people being extremely angry, but when Thor gives him this little speech of "You're just gonna be who you are, and I'm gonna be who I," when Loki he tells Loki straight up, like, "You should stay here. This place is you love it here. You flourish here because this is what you're like.
Mhm.
You're just a skeevy SOB,
Mhm.
and you're still, but I love you, and I've accepted it." And why I say that is because it's like a when you go back to that scene you talked about, and it is I loved all that stuff, you know what I mean? This is what made Loki, I think, have the heel turn of going good guy,
Mhm.
because he kinda looks at Thor, and it not only does he take that in this is how I read it, maybe I'm wrong, guys. From how I feel this is done, Loki takes that in as a criticism on himself that, "Oh, wow, I am like these people." He's kinda looking around and realizing how backstabby these people are, because they are, even to him, he's a little worried about he doesn't want them to know certain things because he knows that they can all be a certain way. It's like, "Yeah, that's you, dude," you know?
Mhm.
But then on top of it, it's almost like when he looks at Thor after Thor says that, Tom Hiddleston does this thing on his face where you can tell it breaks his heart that his brother thinks that of him.
Mhm.
Because the last time they had talk like this, he was telling him how much he loved him, and now he's telling him, "Yeah, I just gotta admit this is who you are. It doesn't matter at this point.
Yep.
Yeah, I still, I still love you, whatever, blah blah blah. But it's not the same as that." So it's like all of a sudden, this hero worship that Loki is so addicted to, which is
Yeah.
why he wants to be, why is always been is his motivation. He's lost that in Thor forever,
Yep.
and that evil or that not evil, but that bad side of him
Mhm.
grew up like this in that instant and said, "Oh no, what I've done now all this time is make him. This is how he's gonna feel.
Yep. Yep.
And like to me, that's like it's just brilliant.
Mhm.
I believe the turn, like
Mhm.
that Loki and on, because then when he doesn't, when we do, not to get too far ahead, but when we do get into Infinity War and he dies the way he dies,
Mhm.
it's 100%. Loki of a movie ago would have would have tried, would have
To
tricked and
Yeah.
tried to survive.
Yep. And try to
This
join
one
with
tried to kill
Thanos. Yeah.
Thanos,
Yeah.
tried to do something he knew it was going to be very hard to do,
Yeah.
and it was like okay. Very earned. But
Mhm.
I took that in 2 ways. He took that or in 3 ways, I guess. Loki was kinda, "Oh, you see me as these thiefy bastards, because that's
Mhm.
how he sees them, and now he's
Mhm.
like, "That's me." And then the other way is for sure, it's a heartbreaking moment for him when he realizes, "Oh, no. Have I actually lost the love of my brother?" Like, for real.
Mhm.
Because he's really cool with the idea of thinking, "I'm kind of a lost cause, and I've accepted it now."
Mhm.
And that's big for him. I think it's a big moment in this movie. I really do.
Mm.
There's a lot going on there in that little conversation.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give it to that. I am.
Yeah. That's more in depth than my emotional moment. So I love yours better. It's great. My emotional moment's on our screen right now of Thor.
And it's a great that was almost gonna be mine too.
What I like about it is Thor. He feels like he looks like he's at a crossroads with Odin. Well,
Or
he's
even
basically
himself.
at the moment, Hela is literally stabbing his back at the moment.
Yeah.
But he's gone inside himself and talking to his father and things like that to be like, I don't know what to do. And his father is like, you know what to do. You're not the god of hammers. You're the god of thunder. And then he's like, I can't save Asgard. Asgard's a people. It's not a place. And it's like he knows really what to do. He just he's not connecting the dots. And once he starts connecting the dots, his strength just starts building up. And he's like, "Well, this is what I'm going to do then." And it rains down that lightning, strikes Hela.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're picking a great moment because I think that for me is a close second.
Yep.
And the other depth that I saw in that moment that you're describing,
Yep.
I think that the deepness that comes with that is that's literally Thor making a decision to let go of trying to make his father proud.
Hmm.
I almost look at that scene where he's not necessarily talking to Odin. He is, but
Like he's talking to himself, but
I
it's
often think it's him
the guise of Odin.
escaping into this moment of, well, oh, I need my dad because I'm at a spot where this is awful. And I think it's him realizing, you know what?
You don't need your dad.
I don't need this. And
That's yes, that's great
especially with what Odin says,
insight.
it's almost contradictory to how Odin acted before.
Mm-hmm.
Because he sent him to Earth. They took his hammer away and took his power away, right?
Mm-hmm.
To make him learn something. And here he's telling him, yeah, you don't even need it anyways. I think that's Thor saying, I don't need it
Mm-hmm.
to be me, to be who I'm going to be, which is his problem all the way to Love and Thunder of trying to figure out who he is. Because in this moment, he's no longer going to let that shadow of his father be the reason he feels the way he is,
Mm-hmm.
which
Yep.
is why it's so heavy for him when he does fail later, because now he knows it's on him more so.
Yeah.
So when Thanos wins later, he's like even
Mm-hmm.
more so depressed because he's like, maybe I did fail. Maybe I do suck. You know what I mean? Because had nothing to do with his dad at that point. He took this on himself. And
Yeah.
I think I really do. That's how I read that moment, which makes it a very good emotional moment as well.
Yeah.
Because I kind of take it as it's a representation of him thinking what his dad would say to him.
Mm-hmm.
That if he would say this to me, I would believe this and feel this.
Mm-hmm.
And then he does, which makes him go, you know what? That is true.
Yep.
And then he goes on and to kick ass on the Rainbow Bridge and become
Yeah.
more so a Thor that we know now.
Yeah. Yep.
So good.
It's very good. Okay. All right, guys. Final scores. Thanks for staying with us, by the way. We're getting to the reason why you're here to think, or not to think, but to know what we think of this whole movie that we just talked about. So, out of 2, Ike, what's the story for you?
All right. So I'm just going to have to be honest.
'Kay.
This is 2.
Yes.
This is awesome. It's 2 stories in one. One story could have been easily cookie cutter and shitty by itself. The other one could have been too wild by itself.
Mhm.
Together, it's like the perfect mix.
Yep. Yes. That's a great way of saying it. Yes. All right. I'm the same way. 2 out of 2. Characters.
It's a 2. They all have something they go through in this.
Yep. I love the fact that they're all surviving this movie.
It's
Every one of them is surviving this
it's
movie.
survive.
Even the Hulk, he's surviving being in Sakaar
Yeah.
and doing that.
Well, in his eyes, he's surviving from who he was when he was on Earth.
Yep.
He's
Yep.
been in survival this whole time.
Yep.
Survival mode.
Yep. 2 for me. Action and visuals.
Yeah, a 2.
2.
Surtur, I think the CGI and like I said, when you get to those end battles and you start seeing the scope of them falling down the waterfall and then with the wolf, and then Surtur, I mean, it just looks awesome. Like,
Mhm.
it's some of the best stuff we've seen.
Yeah, and all of Hela's movements. Holy smokes. How they did that. Beautifully
The
blended.
choreography of the fighting so good.
Yes. Emotion and stakes.
Stakes are huge.
Yes, this movie, the stakes are huge because this is
Huge.
if she won and Surtur never got there,
Everybody's in danger.
I don't even know how she'd do against Thanos. He'd have to use the Infinity Gauntlet to destroy
He'd
her
have to.
because she easily would have killed him, or worse yet, made a partnership with him.
Yeah, she needed a world-ending event to happen to get rid of her.
Yep.
Literally.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. And the emotion, I think the 2 scenes we just talked about for our most emotional me,
Yep.
when you look deep into them and even on the surface, it's there. It might not visually make you go, but there's no cry. It doesn't need to be.
No.
I think Loki realized 2 different things in that moment, and that was so huge. And like I said, I do think that was Thor letting go, finally saying, I'm not going to live up to my father.
Yep.
I'm not going to try anymore.
Yep.
And that is just, and it freed him of that weight of feeling that to feel confident and kick ass like he does.
Well, and even Valkyrie, her emotional moment of having to relive all that, and she has survivor's guilt this whole time.
Scourge.
Yes.
It's.
Yep. Anyways, yes. Yeah. So it's 2. Rewatchability and MCU impact.
So the MCU impact, obviously huge. It leads us right into, and going forward, all these characters, it's all part of it.
Yep.
So that gets the 1. And rewatchability, this is one of those I could watch.
Yeah.
I mean, I easily watch this 3 times. It's so easy to watch again.
It is.
It's a great movie to put in when you're doing stuff too. You can look up at your favorite moments.
Yep.
It's just so many things are different, so I give it a 2 as well.
Yeah, exactly. I completely agree. There are a couple scenes if I'm puttering around doing stuff, I hear Cate Blanchett say something that's hella and I kind of have a half smile. I'm like, oh, that's really good.
You can see it in your head.
That's really good. Yeah. The Hulk stuff, that's really good. Anyways, yeah, 2 for me. All right. Final scores.
So I had to be honest, guys. And this is, like I said, I didn't have any of these filled out because I was going to do them as we went. And as we went, even towards the end, we even started to dissect a couple of things I didn't think about. And even having a conversation about Odin in that scene and giving you the Loki one as I'm saying it. And then every time I think I got something, okay, this is a problem. Oh, we can explain our way out. We can explain the hammer out. Okay, cool. That's not a problem no more. Oh, maybe the moment with Odin when he dies wasn't taken seriously enough. Well, good, because we don't want you to feel that. We want you to be mad at him because of what he left them. Well, guess what? You did that right too. And it's like, it's just all of it's there. It's all there. Dare I say, guys, I'm going to say it because it just feels right. I think I'm going to have to give this movie a 10. I think I don't think there's any other way to do this movie. The only thing I'd do is Sam convinced me of an added scene that would be good. But once again, without it, it doesn't change the movie at all. I like that this movie's just about survival. I like that it's really winning is losing in this movie in a way. She just can't win. That's all it comes down to.
Yep.
And you know what? That's so smart to do with a villain. And it's new. And she's a great villain. It just makes sense. And it puts a whole, and if it didn't set Thor up for some of the best stuff we get later with Thor 2, I guess maybe I'd have different thoughts. But what they did with just him alone in this, I think deserves a 10. Let alone using the Hulk the way they did, which is perfect. Valkyrie, I like everybody in it. I'm just going to give it the 10 because it fits in that category with the best of the MCU. This is peak, in my opinion, of what we should be wanting to see. If there's any little argument, I guess you could say maybe. No, I'm not even gonna go there because I disagree. Everyone's gonna say maybe the jokes. I can give you for Love and Thunder, I can give you some argument that some jokes are like maybe a couple less
Yeah,
would have helped that
maybe
movie
too
a lot.
pushing. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I don't feel that way about this movie.
Mhm.
Not this one. Love and Thunder has a couple extra that make you go, ah, you could have backed off a tad,
Mhm.
but not this one.
Mm.
I give it 10. I gotta be
This
honest about it.
this is very hard for me to give. I'm teetering on two scores. I view this movie as I said it a moment ago. I view this movie as the Winter Soldier of the Thor franchise because Winter Soldier is just peak Marvel at a time when they didn't have the peakness yet. Like they were just getting there. 9.5. So my brain, I really feel like that should have probably been a 10 Winter Soldier because that was near perfection. But also Civil War, we did give that a 10, and that was perfect. That deserved it. So I'm teetering between 9.5 and 10 for this guy because I agree with everything you said.
I think this is better than Winter Soldier.
Mm,
I mean, really,
yeah,
here's this would if I were you, because I know you're teetering, and I know I was right there 10 minutes ago. What I think you should do, just close your eyes,
9.7.
think, yeah, think Winter Soldier, think Thor, and think, and then you know what? Take a 10 of ours that we've already done, and just think. Obviously, is not taken away from Winter Soldier,
Mhm,
but there's a couple things in Winter Soldier we can honestly say that's kind of weird, or that's an issue that okay, but it's not a big deal, not a big issue.
mhm,
There's very few in this that we can't justify, if any.
mhm.
But I think Winter Soldier has a couple that we could justify as an issue. No matter how minute and little and nitpicky they are, this has got less of them, I think, in my opinion. So I say go with your gut. If you say 9.5, say it. It's cool. It doesn't
Mhm.
need to get a 10 just because I said a 10. I'm just saying that's where it is for me. I think it belongs. If I were to pick, if I were to look at the whole canvas of it all, I could rewatch this more than rewatch Winter Soldier as well. And that's part of it as well for me. Because remember,
See,
rewatchability for me is bigger.
yeah.
I would put this in before I put Winter Soldier in again.
Mm,
Not saying I can't watch Winter Soldier again. I could. Hell yeah. If you're like, no, I really, I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. It's still freaking awesome. But this would have me watching it more than Winter Soldier. There's times in Winter Soldier where I can be like, okay, I can go do some stuff. This I'd be looking up more often at the moments that are happening.
mhm.
This has too much good stuff. That and I think more characters are handled better in this than they are in Winter Soldier.
Because I remember in Winter Soldier, you had a problem with Sharon
Yeah.
Carter,
It's just
but
blah. She's blah. The moment's blah. Him kissing her is weird.
yeah. Oh, that's
That's a
Civil
weird
War.
choice,
Yeah,
you know?
that was in Civil
Yeah.
War.
That and I think the one thing that really fell short with me is I think less funny Black Widow would have been better because the
Yep.
only jokes with her that really worked are the ones that Steve was involved in. The one, but that's only for me. You know what I mean? This
Mhm.
is my own personal touch.
Mm. So
But arc wise, there's not a lot of different arcs in Winter Soldier except for Cap and Bucky.
yeah, what I feel like in Winter Soldier is Cap doesn't go through a. How do I say this? Because I don't want to do the service to Captain America, but I don't see him from the beginning of that movie to the end. The only arc that I see him do is he just remains firm. And that's one cool thing about Captain America is he doesn't have too much of character growth arcs. He already is perfect, so he just stays that way, no matter what all the elements around him are
Yeah, I
doing.
think his arc in that his arc in that was to prove to us that he is going to stay that. But
Mhm.
when he says, "I'm not going to fight you," and
Yep.
till the end, which means even if you kill me, that reaffirmed us as an audience. Oh, that's why he's Captain America.
Yes.
So that to me makes that his
Yeah.
arc, which works, right? But you're talking, there's at least 5 different arcs in this for different characters that are big.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
And you're talking about a movie that's got 3 separate villains in it that are awesome. You know, I'm not just talking to a
Yeah.
10.
No, I
I'm
get
just
it.
weighing this out where really the only villain, and not, don't get me wrong, there's not, it's not that it's bad that there's not a big honcho villain in Captain America, but to have Jeff Goldblum be the guy he is and be a villain, yes.
Yep.
Surtur, a villain of
Yep.
Asgard itself, and then Hela, I think it reaches that potential of being, I mean,
Hmm.
in the idea of juggling 2 types of movies in one, I don't know, I just think technically and stuff, it beats out Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
But it doesn't quite beat Civil War,
That's the
but
thing.
it's as good as Civil War,
It
though, in my
is.
opinion.
Yes.
S
I
See, Civil
agree.
War
I
gets a
agree
10
with
because
that.
we can't go higher than a 10.
Yeah,
Let's be
really.
honest. If there's any movie that after we've done this retro at this point, I could say this honestly. If I could give Civil War 12, I would.
Hmm.
I might think it when we do our long run and we have to split these 10s up, that's
It's
gonna
definitely
always float
going.
to the
Yep.
top
Hmm.
for a while.
Yeah. I agree. And it's not you convincing me. It's just this, as I'm trying to think it through and I'm comparing and contrasting and being consistent with my scores and things like that, I am going to give this its flowers because it deserves it. I do. This is a 10.
Yeah.
This movie really is a 10 out of a 10. There's very little wrong with it, or at least anything that you would think is wrong with it, it doesn't ruin the movie. You
Right.
know,
Yeah,
it's not
and/or
something that's a glaring problem where you need to do stuff. Let's do something for it.
and/or it can kinda be explained, which is
Yeah.
weird. It's
Yeah.
wild. You know what I mean?
And
Like,
I almost would still, if I'm ranking this, I would put this as a 10, but it's right there with Winter Soldier for me personally,
yeah.
just because I love
Yeah.
Captain America over Thor.
Oh,
But
yeah.
this is hands down the best Thor iteration
Mm.
of the balance of everything and the story and being able to do 3 villains in one movie and it work out the way it did, that made sense. That great job.
Yeah, I
Great
think the
job.
biggest one of the I think all that stuff accumulated with me, but once I really settled on the idea that this movie is, like you've said this before, is really about surviving this rather than preventing something to happen.
Mhm.
It's actually the opposite of all of it. Because most of the time it's easy to say, how's everything get back to harmony? That's not what this movie's about. And once again, this is another time in the MCU, like Civil War did, where you end in a spot where things are different now. Like big time. Consequences are different. Civil War, the Avengers are split up. People are now outcasts. They are now, they're enemies of the state, right?
Mhm.
And that's how it ends. Oh, well, where do we go now? We lose Asgard and half of his people.
Mhm.
And then we get a great post-credit scene that shows we're gonna lose the other half of his people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so
Yeah.
it's there's so much happens in this to me that it kind of hits yeah, I mean, when we go down through after we're done with this whole thing, guys, and we look and we start the ones that got the same numbers, we're gonna have to put which ones ahead of them. This might be the bottom of the 10s,
Mhm.
but I think it reached the 10 is all.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I mean? I think it stepped over that with a lot of the stuff they were juggling in this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so the official Goodell Multiverse score of this movie, guys, is a 10 out of 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
Is there one final line you would give?
Yeah,
Final sentence review?
I'll tell you this. I think this is probably first of all, for the one final sentence for people to go watch it. If you like Thor and you really wanted to see a good mix of different stuff, I want you to pull your head out of your butt and go watch this movie and stop giving it the trouble it's got. I know it's actually highly regarded still. I know that it's not one of those that gets the trouble, but I have to tell you, when I've heard people complain about Love and Thunder, I hear them saying, and now it makes me think that Thor Ragnarok set this up and it sucks. And they're not saying the movie sucks, but I think some people do kind of attribute this as a mistake with Thor now, today. Because back when it came out,
Yeah.
it was a hit and people loved it. But we've even seen guys like John and them change their mind on how much they talk.
Well, the problem that they're doing, and you, if you're watching this, that you're doing with this, is when this movie came out, Ragnarok, everyone loved it, high praise. You get a sequel to it, and you don't like the sequel to the point where now you're blaming the film before that for your sequel, which you are getting one thing right. The logical sequel to Ragnarok would be Love and Thunder. The problem is your hatred for Love and Thunder overtakes the logic that you had for Ragnarok.
Yep.
And now you have ruined Ragnarok for yourself, which is not a bad movie.
Yep.
So I get it. Not everyone's sequels are going to pan out exactly how you think or plan. And there are faults of Love and Thunder. I am not saying they're not. That movie is not a 10 out of 10 like this one is. But the overhate of Love and Thunder is now trickling into Ragnarok, which is a disservice. Can you imagine if your overhate for Brand New World trickled down to Civil War and Winter Soldier? What the heck is wrong with you?
Or God forbid, let's just say, Brand New World, that sucks so much. Darn stupid Endgame. Why'd they leave it that way?
Yep.
It'd be the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
That would be dumb, but that's exactly what you're doing when you compare Love and Thunder and Ragnarok to this. So, like my brother said, get your head out of the butt and walk down our Love and Thunder retrospective when we get there in a few weeks.
Yeah, the only other final little thought I'd have to say too is this is probably the hardest and hopefully the last hardest one we've ever had to do because it was so hard to rate.
Yeah. Yes.
It just was because I struggled with wanting to. I wanted to have a problem with this movie just so it wouldn't get a 10 because I felt like this isn't a 10, right? This is not a 10, right?
Yep.
I don't remember it being a 10, but I can't.
Yeah, I had
myself right into what I thought I was going to.
I was just like you. I was going up and down with, is this an 8? Oh, I feel like this is a 9.5 because it has to be Winter Soldier level. But is it actually higher? I don't know if I want to betray Captain like that. I'm going through all that in my head, thinking all this stuff. But I'm settled with my score, 10 out of 10. That is what this movie is. So I hope you guys watch it and maybe have a better view of it now when you're watching it, or at least a new perspective of it.
Yeah.
After you listen to this or watch this on YouTube.
Yeah.
All right, Ike, what are we doing next?
So, guys, thanks for joining us with our Thor and getting through it. This was a little bit of a longer one. And hey, we actually had something we had to debate this time, which was fun, which actually still ended up in the same place. Oh, weird.
Right?
So next week, guys, we're going to be doing a special branch point breakdown of Dead Poets Society. We'll have a special guest. We're picking some old movies that we just think are good and we should talk about. And this is one of those I think more people should see. It's an older movie, but good old Robin Williams. So it's going to be a tough one because he was in our household when I was growing up. I know Sammy's watched a lot of his stuff too, but I remember specifically when I was real little. I mean, he was at the time, he was one of those that movie come out and we were all packed as a family to see it. And he was in your living room with you, and we all know what's happened to him. So it's going to be a tough one, but it'll be a fun one to talk about still.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to have a retrospective of Black Panther, the first one, which will be fun.
Yeah. That
will be a good one. I got some thoughts already. Ready to watch it again and really tone it up so we have good stuff to talk about.
I agree. I'm looking forward to the Black Panther one. Gosh, I might even be able to convince Mom to be a part of that because that is our mom's favorite MCU movie.
Oh, is it really?
Is Black Panther 1.
Okay.
She's told me multiple times. I turned that on just to be in Wakanda. I'm like, cool.
Wow.
She loves this movie. So, and I think she's going to be our special guest for our Dead Poets Society, I think, right? Yep. So either way, you're going to see her. So thank you for tuning in to the Goodell Multiverse podcast. Please please subscribe. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on TikTok. Please share this with your family. Share this with your friends. Share this with your enemies. Get us out there, guys. We're on the webs. Yes. And I guess until next time, we're going to see you at the movies.